Yo, what is going on, everyone? Another start sit stream. Another good night. Shout out to Ohio State for looking good, but even more, shout out to Element here in the chat for that intro music. Like I said, guys, I love to support you guys. You guys support me all the time. So, like I said, go give Element some love in the chat. Element's here. He said, well, Ohio State got an easy win. Don't know if I would say easy, but it has been looking pretty good. Jeremiah Smith looks like absolutely elite level player. And Element's trying to take my job here. A lot of y'all started sending some questions into the chat, and he just started firing away. So shout out to Element. Appreciate you being here, dude. You said, let's start off with some good questions. Your boy says, who would you drop for a tight end since I have McBride, AR as my quarterback? Fields, Hawk, Chase Brown, Steele, or Christian Kirk? Out of all these, your boy, honestly, I will be dropping Chase Brown. I know you have AR as your quarterback. I do want to keep Fields because I know you've kind of been going between Fields and AR. I want to wait on Hawk because you probably have him in your IR spot, and if you don't have him in your IR spot, that's totally fine. I believe better days are ahead for Christian Kirk. I like Steele, so I would personally go with Chase Brown there, yeah, boy, if I were you. Jeff Rogers, appreciate you being here. I also know you posted this super early. So, Jeff, if you don't get to see this, I understand. You said, should I start Kenneth Walker coming off an injury or Juwan Jennings if Debo doesn't play? So I'm assuming at this point that Debo is not going to be playing, which is fine. So if I pull up my rankings in full PPR, I will be having Juwan Jennings ahead. Now, I'm a little bit worried about the oblique injury for Kenneth Walker still kind of having an impact. So assuming that there's no Debo, I will be going with Juwan Jennings. Now, Jeff, the thing that I do want to reiterate is if for some reason Debo is playing, then just go with Kenneth Walker. That's what I would be doing here in this start-sit decision for you, Jeff, in the flex. So appreciate you. Element, you were here early, bro. You were here early. Appreciate you tuning in. Trix says, we'll have to wait and see in the morning, but if Irving plays... Trix, you already went to bed, dude? Shout out to you. I know this is a little bit later of a stream. But if Irving plays and Rashad misses, is Irving almost a must-start for my flex spot? Which is crazy, because I thought there was a chance that Irving was going to be out this week and it was going to be the full Rachaad White show. I do think there is a landscape for Bucky Irving to, of course, be starting. We'll have to see what happens. I think they said illness, so there's a chance that Rachaad White ends up playing tomorrow. But definitely got lowered down my rankings. Element's just giving out here advice on the job. Element, you're amazing. Anyways, like I said, guys, let's give a shout out to Element for sending over some beats that we're going to start incorporating more on stream. Super hyped for that. Jaime says, we await the final boss, guys. Jaime, appreciate you. Jeff says, Kenneth Walker, Juwan Jennings at flex if Debo doesn't play. I already answered this, Jeff, but I'll answer it again in case you didn't see that earlier here in the stream. I will be going with Juwan Jennings, assuming Debo doesn't play. But if Debo does play, then I will be going with some Ken Walker. Shout out to L. Smith. Appreciate you guys for always tuning in, being here all the time. You said, yo, I don't know if I should start Garrett Wilson still over T. Higgins. I'm personally starting Garrett Wilson over T. Higgins. I understand there is the treatment that we're a little bit worried about with Patrick Surtain, but I'm personally still starting Garrett Wilson over T. Higgins. If we're looking at the rankings, just so L. Smith, I do have Garrett Wilson still as a top 14 wide receiver this week. And then I got T. Higgins sliding as a top 28 wide receiver. So I almost have about 13 spots between them. So I personally would go with Garrett Wilson over T. Higgins. But I understand the worry with Garrett Wilson having to get shadowed by Patrick Surtain. Hunter, appreciate you. Yo, thanks for making the stream, bro. Let me know what questions I can answer for you. Jaime said Bama is killing Georgia. Absolutely smashing Georgia. So that is exactly what is happening right now. My Buckeyes kind of started off looking a little bit fraudulent. Things have started to turn around here. I'm currently watching the game down below while doing this stream. So if it looks like I'm looking down and, L. Smith said, killing my Spartans. Well, your Spartans look good, L. Smith. We just came out looking super rusty. But yeah, I think Bama after this week's going to have to be the number one team in college football. Podson said Hunter Henry or Taysom Hill, Michael Wilson or JMO, A-Rich or Andy Dalton, full PPR. Podson, I will be going with Hunter Henry over Taysom Hill. I will be going with Jamison Williams over Michael Wilson Jr. And then in between A-Rich or Andy Dalton, I will be going with A-Rich. But I understand that it's Andy Dalton revenge game versus Cincinnati. So I think that last question is probably the one where there's the most question marks around it, but personally, I still want the A-Rich side. Have A-Rich 2 spots ahead of Andy Dalton in this week's quarterback rankings. Hunter said, yo, I have AR or Fields. Who should I start? And Ertz and Likely, I need help. Hunter, I'm always here for you, dude. Thanks for always tuning in this week. Personally, for me, I will be going with Fields over Anthony Richardson. And then in regards to Ertz versus Likely, I'd put Ertz in my stash video today because I do like Ertz with that Jaden Daniels offense. I personally go lean the Zach Ertz side. Like I said, we've been seeing a lot of, shout out to Ohio State for just scoring a touchdown, but we've seen a lot of Zach, what do I want to say, Isaiah Likely and the Mark Andrews, like talking about the splits. John Harbaugh this week said that they were going to be running a tight end by committee. Plus, we saw Mark Andrews only have a 33% snap share last week, and then Isaiah Likely didn't have a great day. So, honestly, for me, I will be going with Ertz, and I will be going with Fields here, Hunter. Appreciate you tuning in. Element says Ohio destroying. That is what's happening right now. That is what's happening. Jay Will, I saw this comment earlier. Honestly, we've had so many comments come in. I've been thinking about this one, looking to upgrade at the wide receiver position and sell McLaurin and Hopkins coming off big weeks. Who could I target if I package those two? So we talked a little bit. I looked at my rest of season rankings, and I was trying to kind of give you. I didn't want to just throw together a question for you, Jay Will, because I know you've been a great fan of the channel, really great friend. So personally, for me, if I'm trying to sell off of Terry and Hopkins, you're selling like a wide receiver 30 and then like a wide receiver 38. Honestly, can we get into a guy like a Zay Flowers, Stephon Diggs, George Pickens range, even a Deontay Johnson? Like those would be guys that I'm trying to sell off. Even potentially like a Debo, if the Debo owner needs some depth, that would kind of be what I'm looking to do, Jay Will. Hope that helps for you. Jeff, appreciate you tuning in, of course. MP17 said, pick 2, Garrett Wilson, Deontay Johnson, or Terry McLaurin. MP17, I will be going with Garrett Wilson and Deontay Johnson this week. I loved what I saw out of Terry. I loved what I saw out of this Jaden Daniels offense. But I do have Terry this week. Let me just give you the numbers so that you know this. So, like I said, Garrett Wilson is my wide receiver 13. Deontay Johnson is sliding up as a top 10 wide receiver for me this week. And then Terry McLaurin is sliding in at wide receiver 21. So I do think it's like good options all around the board because you got 3 top 24 wide receivers, but I would be personally going with Garrett Wilson and Deontay Johnson based on my rankings. MP17, appreciate you being here. Abid said, hey, bro, I have a few questions in mind to ask you. Start Stroud or Allen? Start Allen. I know he's going against the Baltimore Ravens. It is a rougher matchup, but you got to roll out some Josh Allen. Start Reed or Evans. Now, this is a question where I have been telling you guys to kind of just be patient on Reed, because I believe that with Reed, when you're looking at the way that his yards per route run versus zone, so much higher than everyone else, his explosive plays, so much higher than everyone else's. I think this week you got to go back to the well with Mike Evans, just because Mike Evans, I do have him as a top 15 play versus Philadelphia Eagles. We'll have to see. No A.J. Brown, no Devontae Smith. This should be a pretty good game script for Tampa Bay, which means good things for their running backs. But I do want to start Mike Evans over Reed, but I think we're going to get a little bit closer a bit over the next few weeks on Jaden Reed versus Mike Evans, because I think Jaden Reed's, like the same way that we saw Rashee Rice absolutely emerge the last few weeks, I think Jaden Reed is on that same track. Then we got start Jacobs or Dobbins at flex. I will be starting Josh Jacobs over J.K. Dobbins a bit. Appreciate you being here. Trick said W Element. Yeah, shout out to Element. Flexible Timmy, appreciate you tuning in and being here. You said AR or Caleb this week. I will be going with AR over Caleb Williams. Flexible Timmy, appreciate you being here. John said Love or Dalton. Also Fields and Geno on waivers. Appreciate you. Yeah, these quarterbacks this week, it feels like I got kind of a giant tier altogether. It's hard for me to start Love over Andy Dalton, just knowing that we don't know how the mobility is going to be looking like for Jordan Love. Now, granted, 17 fantasy points in that week 1 game before he got injured in like the fourth quarter. So we do like Jordan Love a ton. I have him pretty high in my rest of season rankings. Like we said, it is the revenge Andy Dalton game versus Cincinnati, which is exciting. Personally, for me, I do have Justin Fields and Geno Smith above both of them this week in my rankings. Personally, I would just go with the Justin Fields side and get that like Konami code rushing upside, John. But then I know we're probably going to have to the question of like, who should I drop in regards to that? So I appreciate you tuning in. PRF said, how is this trade? You got Jonathan Taylor and Kyle Pitts for McBride, Josh Jacobs, and Rashee Rice. My league mate did not know about McBride getting a concussion. Whew. I think he won. Because we got Jonathan Taylor as an S-tier running back, a top 5 running back rest of the season. We got Kyle Pitts, as much as he has been touchdown or bust, very similar. I have McBride higher rest of the season. But then we got Josh Jacobs and Rashee Rice. So personally, I will go. I say Rashee White. I say Rashee Rice. Goodness gracious. I meant Rashad White. I know who you're talking about. My league Nate didn't know about McBride getting a concussion. Yeah, I still like the Jonathan Taylor and Kyle Pitts side here, PRF. I think he did a really good job doing that trade. Serge said, I'm between Garrett Wilson and Kenneth Walker in my flex, full PPR. Serge, here I would lean with Garrett Wilson. I know we're still talking the Patrick Surtain matchup that got us burned last week with Mike Evans, but I will be going back to the well with Garrett Wilson. I think he does get involved and gets enough separation to have some game-winning plays for you. L. Smith says, I'm sweating the plus 30 thread from him right now. Did you bet on the game, L. Smith? Did you bet on the game? Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, Aiden Childs has looked good, but yeah, we're starting to pull away. We're starting to pull away for sure. Matt Wingo said half PPR flex DJ Moore or Ken Walker. Matt Wingo, I will be going with DJ Moore. Like I said, it's hard for me. I think we can assume that Ken Walker, if he does play, gets somewhere around like 10 to 15 touches. But that's even just I don't love starting a Ken Walker after we've seen Zach Charbonnet have a really good week. I think both of them will probably split the workload tomorrow. So I lean the DJ Moore side. Matt Wingo, appreciate you. Hunter said, are your Stroud and Wilson jersey signed? Yeah, on the front. I probably should just like roll them back, but yeah, they are. So because I'm a huge Buckeye fan, huge Buckeye fan. So had to get the actual jerseys. Jeff said Steelers D or Chiefs D this week, and is it time to drop Pittman? That is a great question, Jeff. So I will be personally going this week with the the Steelers D. I got the Steelers D at 3, got the Kansas City Chiefs D at 6 versus the Indianapolis Colts. Now, I think the Kansas City Chiefs defense versus the Chargers, that is interesting, especially with a hurt Justin Herbert. But we have seen the Steelers get a ton of turnovers, and Anthony Richardson has been pretty prone to some turnovers here recently. Trick said, I traded Alec Pierce for Worthy. Was that a good move? Give me Xavier Worthy, even though Alec Pierce has had that deep lawn ball that he's been getting from Anthony Richardson. Xavier Worthy's had a down last few games. He hasn't really been getting the targets and or touchdowns. I do like Xavier Worthy rest of the season a lot more than I do Alec Pierce. I think that's a win for you, Tricks. PRF, I'm in a full PPR league right now, and I'm not really liking Olave at flex right now. Who would I pivot if you think I should pivot? Yeah, Chris Olave, I still have him as a top 12 wide receiver rest of the season. Main reason that I still have him that high in my rest of season rankings is just because he's playing for this offense. We've seen Clint Kubiak just absolutely be able to demolish, absolutely sending out the full gamut of offense. And I know we've seen Rashid Shaheed have some good games, and even last week we saw Chris Olave have that 20-point outburst. I think the part for Chris Olave, like if you could get into Chris Godwin, if you could get into Marvin Harrison Jr., even potentially a Garrett Wilson, that's something that I'd be interested to do. If you can't get into any of those guys because they're probably like, hey, Chris Olave is a tier below, then I personally would just hold PRF. There's no really running backs in the range that I want to trade for Chris Olave right now. So I would just hold Chris Olave unless I can get one of those guys. Appreciate you, PRF. 24K Lightning. Appreciate you tuning into the channel. You said, I have a conundrum for this week. I'm in a half PPR league with 3 wide receivers and a 1 flex. I don't know who to put for my flex, Tyreek Hill or Tony Pollard. Thanks. Yeah, you are in quite the predicament, 24K Lightning. And the reason you're in a predicament is because you got Tyreek Hill, of course, with Tyler Huntley starting this week versus Tony Pollard, who's been kind of a so-so running back for you. And so it's really risky because we know Tony Pollard for sure is going to get the volume. Like I have him as my RB20 this week, but then we have Tyreek Hill down as our wide receiver 22. And Tyreek Hill last week, 5 fantasy points the week before that. Tony Pollard, let me double check Tony Pollard's numbers last week. I have Tony Pollard on a league, only 4 fantasy points. I think the safe play 24K is going to be to go with Tony Pollard. The upside play is going to be with Tyreek Hill. Listen, I have them 3 spots apart. So personally, I lean just risking it for the biscuit, going for the home run shot of a Tyreek Hill. But if you know that you need some solid production, then 100% just go with Tony Pollard over Tyreek Hill. I have him so close. Fantasy Football Girl, appreciate you tuning in tonight. Full PPR, QB Fields or Darnold this week. I feel like I'm like surprisingly high on Justin Fields this week. Not that I don't like Sam Darnold. I mean, it's an okay matchup versus Green Bay, but I do have Justin Fields versus this Indianapolis Colts defense higher, which feels dumb. Because after we've seen Sam Darnold the last few weeks absolutely cooking, but I'm going to bank on that Konami code rushing upside for Justin Fields this week over Sam Darnold. Fantasy Football Girl, appreciate you tuning in. Jaime says, with my new players, Hall and Godwin from a trade for Adams and JK, just flex on us again. With AJ Brown out, who would you start at flex? Harris, Cook, or someone off waivers? I would do Cook. Cook over Harris, 100%. Give me some James Cook. You got to continue to roll out James Cook. Steve says, good evening, good sir. Good evening, Steve. Good to see you. Jaime says, I have a B-Rob and Hall as my RB1 and RB. Jaime, just continue to flex on us. Like, that's incredible. Your team is absolutely loaded to the actual brim. So keep that up, Jaime. Shout out to Jaime, giving some love to good old Steve at the Average Fantasy Football Joes. Hunter said, rate my team. AR, Fields, H.A. Mason, Amon-Ra, T, McBride, and Bucky as a flex. Who should I trade for? I think this is always a hard. I know we've talked about this, Hunter. It's always a hard question of like who should I trade for when we're just like looking at your team. I think honestly, like the biggest question marks for me are like, can we get a better? I say a better quarterback. I think you have high upside quarterbacks, so maybe I wouldn't even touch that. You're just gonna be playing the matchups week to week. You then got Devon and Mason. If CMC does come back, like Mason as your RB2, he's essentially great until that. And honestly, at this point, we're looking at CMC probably coming back somewhere between week 10 and week 13. So really no worries there. Amon-Ra is your number one with T, McBride, Ertz, and Bucky. I think just the flex position is probably the weakest point of this team, Hunter. And so I don't know what you have on your bench, but I'm a little bit worried about where this is going to be kind of going for in the future. So I would send me some bench options and see if we can pair something with Bucky, but we're probably just going to make a small move, Hunter. Nothing huge and crazy. Incognito, TK, the Oracle Caleb. Sup, bro? Hey, dude, I checked out your channel today. Shout out to you for grinding out there in the streets. Like I said, we got a bunch of creators that tune into this channel, and I always appreciate it because you guys all are in different niches doing amazing things. Jaime said, with buys hitting next week, thoughts on Josh Downs? Is he worth a pickup? Rest season, someone dropped him last week. Jaime, is this in our league? I guess you're not in the subscriber league. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw that down on you. Josh Downs 100% is. I would say I have him ahead of guys like a Wan'Dale Robinson. I have Josh Downs ahead of rest of the season. That might be a mistake though. Like Jalen Tolbert, Pop Douglas. So depending on who's out there on waivers and like your team level, I do think Josh Downs 100%. Just kind of basing this off of how I'm viewing things should be on a roster. Ozzy, good to see you. You said, should I drop DeAndre Hopkins for Michael Wilson or Luke McCaffrey in a PPR league? No, I do have Jaden Daniels as quarterback, or should I just keep Hopkins? Yeah, I know, Ozzy, I don't know if you were tuning in my stash video, and you're over here now, so I appreciate you for tuning in. I think, honestly, after seeing last week with DeAndre Hopkins, it feels irresponsible to drop him after that huge performance. Now, Michael Wilson absolutely merged. So I do think Michael Wilson I do have ahead of Luke McCaffrey in regards to rest of the season rankings. I know you have Jaden Daniels, but like we said, in the video I was talking about like Zach Ertz, who's going to emerge as the number 2? Is it going to be Zach Ertz, Luke McCaffrey? A lot of people are hype on Noah Brown. That's someone that a lot of people have a lot of faith in. So I personally would just keep Hopkins there. Jay Wilson is currently 3-0, but I lost Pacheco and now have Adams out, so my roster is looking rough. You have Hurts at quarterback. Should I make a move for A.J. Brown with him being out this week and on a bye next week? Yeah, just rub it in, Jay Will, that I have a ton of A.J. Brown, and we're waiting another 2 weeks for him. Actually, I'm happy for A.J. Brown because I didn't want him to come pull the hammy again and make it worse. I'm cool to wait on him, so hopefully I can get the dub this week, but I do think he's a great trade target for you if you can get him. Scar17S said, Najee, Garrett Wilson, flex, full PPR this week. Scar, I will be going with Garrett Wilson. A bid, of course. Glad you could be here. Dynasty39, should I start 2 tight end rest of season, Bowers and Ferguson, or try to trade Ferg? My wide receivers are Nico, Deontay, Pittman, Michael Wilson. I think I could reasonably offer Ferg for Adunze. Yeah, if I can do Ferg for Adunze, even if I could do Ferg for Shakir, especially with your team. Like I typically do not like to host 2 tight ends on my team. Now, having 2 elite tight ends on your team, like you feel good about it, but like we were talking about even in the preseason, like if you had a team and you maybe had Mark Andrews and you had Dalton Kincaid, you were like, oh, like not bad. Like I can flex one of these guys, and then we saw what happened. So I'm not a tight end oracle by any stretch of the imagination. So if I can get out on Ferg for Adunze, I would do that. PRF, appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. Dalton, good to see you. You said lineup week 4. Justin Fields, DJ Moore, Mike Evans, Tony Pollard, Montgomery, Pat Frymuth. Who should I put as flex? Michael Wilson, Jawan Jennings, J-Mo McLaurin, or Braylon Allen? Assuming, Dalton, there's no Debo this week, I will be going with Jawan Jennings. But assuming that if Debo does play, then I would just go with Jameson Williams. But you will be flexing Jawan Jennings, assuming that there's no Debo. Dalton, appreciate you tuning in, and thanks for being here. S. Lepaski said 12 man PPR, 2 flex. Reading the team. And then you said, should I start Dotson or DeMarcus or pick up McConkey, DeMario? So yeah, you got a lot of good options on the bench. Honestly, Basket, I would pick up McConkey. I do have McConkey a few spots higher than DeMarcus Robinson. I think McConkey should not be on your waivers. So give me some Lad McConkey this week in that flex spot for you. Thanks for tuning in. Safe said, Mark Andrews or Ertz, Anthony Richardson or Sam Darnold, full PPR. Yeah, I will be going with Anthony Richardson over Sam Darnold. That feels like a mistake. I'm living on the edge here, ladies and gentlemen. And then Mark Andrews or Ertz. Oh, goodness gracious. I mean, I feel like you have to go Mark Andrews. I have Mark Andrews as my tight end 10 this week, but that's also not a detriment. That's not saying Mark Andrews has been good. That is saying that the tight end landscape is so bad. I do have Mark Andrews 2 spots ahead of Zach Ertz. See, if I understand if you want to roll the dice with Zach Ertz and say, hey, Mark Andrews has sucked, I'm leaning that way. But personally, I would go with Mark Andrews and Anthony Richardson, and I don't feel good about either of those decisions, but that's how I have it ranked. John says Chiefs or Texans D this week. I will personally be going with the Kansas City Chiefs D over the Texans D, John. Like I said, appreciate you being here. Wesley said, would you trade Devontae Smith and Jordan Mason? Oh, shout out. Let me get to the super chat here, Wesley. Actually, I'll answer your question, then we'll get to the super chat. Would you trade Devontae Smith and Jordan Mason for A.J. Brown and James Conner? Easily. Give me the A.J. Brown and James Conner side. PRF, appreciate you. You said, RB, should I go after? I package Gibbs and a piece. PRF. Let me get back to your team really quick. Like I said, guys, thanks so much for all the support that you do on the channel. Let me see. Let me get back to PRF, your team. I know you sent it up here a little bit earlier. Why am I missing it? How is my trade? So you said Arnabek should go after if I package Gibbs in a piece. Oh, I see. If you're trying to upgrade, after I package Gibbs in a piece. So if you're packaging Gibbs in a piece, I mean, I have Gibbs as a top 5 running back. So essentially, it's Bijan, it's Brees, it's Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor. Who am I missing here? Who else am I missing here? Missing a name. That's Saquon Barkley. Like those would be the players if you could package. But honestly, I think you could do Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor straight up. I think you'd need to add a small piece to get to Bijan, Saquon, or Brees. PRF. So let me know if that helps. If you need me to answer that question again, I will do that. But 100%, dude. Thanks for the super chat. Thanks for supporting the channel. Back to so Wesley, I would do AJ Brown and James Conner. Fantasy football girl. You said full PPR. Jennings, Mike Evans, Michael Wilson, Pittman, or Shakir. I personally will be going with Mike Evans, but if you need a second option on this team this week, Fantasy Football Girl, I will be going with Jawan Jennings, assuming there is no Debo. If Debo does give it a go, then I would go with Shakir instead of Jennings. That's how I would do it, but Mike Evans for sure, as long as you need one. Jeff said, is this Pitts week the final breakout? Jeff, I've been trying to predict the final breakout for Kyle Pitts for months, if not years. And so currently right now, I'm not going to predict anything because I've been super bad at predicting these tight ends. I mean, I do have Kyle Pitts as a top 6 tight end ranked this week. Potentially he could be that guy, but I'm not going to bank on anything right now. But appreciate you, Jeff, for tuning in and being active here in the chat. Tricks, you like Charbonnet, Braylon Allen, Worthy, Bucky Irving for flex, full PPR. Kenneth Walker's playing, so that's going to drop Charbonnet for me. I know you asked me this question before. If Rachaad White does not give it a go, then we will be going with Bucky Irving Tricks. But assuming that Rachaad White is going to be a part of this backfield this week, then I will go with Braylon Allen over Xavier Worthy for myself. That's how I would do it. I think Braylon Allen has the best floor and probably the best ceiling, unless Bucky Irving is the clear one. Dynasty 3-9. Also, AR5 or Geno this week. I will be going with Geno this week, Dynasty 3-9. That's who I'd be going with. Hunter says, are you a Bengals fan too, since you are a Buckeye fan? Hunter, I am a Bengals fan. I know I got the Buckeye jerseys behind me. So it's been rough. So let's continue to move on. I am K9. What upgrades can I make with Garrett Wilson, Ramondre, Pollard, and Ladd? 1/2 PPR redraft in a league where there may be 5 trades between 8 teams all year. Yeah. If you're in a league where it's hard to trade, that's 100% hard to get some trades done. I am K9. I think the biggest one would be, hey, how can we improve this roster at all? So hypothetically, we could look at Garrett Wilson, especially rest of the season, and say, hey, if we add I don't want to deplete your team, but like I'm just giving you some options. So I'd probably do one of these deals. I wouldn't do both of them. But like, hey, let's take Garrett Wilson and Pollard and see if we can get up to like a Malik Neighbors and a Amon-Ra St. Brown, a Jamar Chase. Cool. You can't do that? No biggie. Let's see if we can take a Pollard or a Mondre plus Lad McConkey to kind of improve that overall running back room. Can I get that into like a Travis Etienne, a Jordan Mason? Maybe that's even too high. Take Ramon. Could I get Aaron Jones potentially? Like those would be deals that I would be looking to do to try to improve. But I will say the worst thing you can do is trade just to trade. If it's not a good deal, then don't do it, of course. I'm K9. I trust you. I trust you and your instincts, but come comment if you ever need any more trade help. Hunter said, should I trade away Devon and AR for Lamar and Jamar? 100%. Give me Lamar and Jamar straight up, Hunter. I would do that deal 10 out of 10 times. Huge deal if you can get that done. Jar Jar, appreciate. Oh, crap. I said Jar Jar like Jar Jar Binks. Jar. Did I do it right? I'm getting better. I'm getting better. Let me know. Dude, the Jar Jar Binks, bro. You have if you let me say it, that's the coolest thing. But let me know if I said it right this time. You said Isaiah Likely, Zach Ertz, or Tyler Conklin at tight end. I will be going with Zach Ertz over Isaiah Likely at tight end. Let me know if I said it right. I see your second question. I got to have some redemption here. Hopkins or Lad at second flex or another option would be Ertz. LOL. Andrew, honestly, I'm going with Hopkins here. Lad's an interesting one because it is going to be a higher. They're probably going to be down having to throw the ball. I'm a little bit worried about how they hold up against the Chiefs front seven. So personally, I'll be going with DeAndre Hopkins over Lad. And then did we have a? I need to see. I think it's Gerger. But and you said who's the better flex option? Let me know. Let me know if I'm saying it right because I want you a part of this community. You've been such a great part of this community, and if I keep botching your name, that ain't cool. And I'm just going to write it down and put it on my actual desktop. Jordan Addison, Drake London, Rashid Shaheed, or Braylon Allen. Who's a better flex option? I will be going with Drake London this week. 100%. Thanks for being here. Jaime said, I wasn't trying to flex, although I'm surprised the trade actually went through coming from an 8-team league. Yeah, Jaime, you're always over here flexing, essentially telling me that you should be running the channel because you are so good. And it's true. You make amazing trades. And I don't know who you're playing with, but you're fleecing them all the time. Hunter said, Raheem, Warren, likely AR, Fields, and Ertz, but I'm thinking of picking up one of those guys on your... Hey, dude, let me know. Let me know if you need any help like deciding which one and which one to go with. I'm trying to... Like, me thinking of your team right now, I know you picked up some guys. I would honestly... Warren's the one guy that I don't want on my team right now. Don't know if this changes your answers to my questions, but I'm in a full PPR league. Yeah, I assumed it was full PPR. So yeah, I would keep my answers. I already forgot. I would be going with Drake London and Zach Ertz. Dysphorie. Sorry, I'm blanking on this. You needed a quarterback, so I traded for Anthony Richardson, Brian Thomas, and Braylon Allen. Traded away Kenneth Walker. You already have Jonathan Taylor and Gibbs. Was a good trade for me. I think, honestly, you got enough pieces back and got some depth, so, like, that's a dub. I think, honestly, I always want the best player in the deal, and I still think Kenneth Walker is the best player in this deal. But I think you having the ability to hopefully get a better quarterback in Anthony Richardson, which I'm not saying Anthony Richardson is at this point. I mean, rest of the season for me, he's down at my QB9, and he has been falling week over week. But if he can kind of get back to that elite level upside that we saw in the first game and what we saw last year in the 4 games, I think you're absolutely gonna win this trade if Anthony Richardson can bounce back. But that is an if. Mr. M, appreciate you being here. You said Etienne or Chuba in the flex. Man, if I tell you to start Travis Etienne, I gotta have some big balls because Travis Etienne has let us down. I mean, I say let down, but 10, 13, 10 fantasy points over the last 3 weeks. It hasn't lost you the week, but it hasn't won you the week by any stretch of the imagination. I think this week, I personally have Chuba in full PPR, 2 spots ahead of Travis Etienne, so I will be going with Chuba Hubbard. If Jonathan Brooks is out there on your waiver wires, 100% go add him. I think that's going to be a major deal for all y'all. Fantasy Football Girl said, thoughts on Kenneth Walker and Lions defense, or should I just start Carson Steele? This is one of those Fantasy Football Girls. Well, I will honestly go with the Kenneth Walker side. I'm cool to go with the Kenneth Walker side over Carson Steele. And then Lions defense, where do I have them ranked relative? I have Detroit Lions down as my 19th best defense, but like I said, my defensive hits the last few weeks haven't been great, so I probably wouldn't start Detroit. Some streaming options out there like Tennessee versus Miami might be an interesting one for you. Even Miami versus Tennessee. I don't know if they're out there on your waiver wires. Las Vegas versus Cleveland's another one. Saints versus Atlanta. I think those are some better defenses that I would take over the Lions defense. Jaime says he's available in a 16-team IDP PPR league. Josh Downs. Also, you think I should pick up Drake May? Dropped him to make roster moves, but he's looking more to... Yeah, I think he's going to become the starter. If you're super depleted, Jaime, at QB in a 16-team IDP league, like we said, you're kind of scraping for scraps on your bottom of your roster. I'm cool to hold Drake May because I think we're looking at the next 2 to 3 week period before he does end up starting. Trix said 12-team full PPR rate team. Mahomes, Love, Jacob, Steele, Brooks, Braylon Allen, Irving, Charb. I almost said Chubb. Wide receiver CD, AJ Brown, DK, Wandell, tight ends Goddard, Pitts. In a 12-man, I think what our weakest position is just our running back position by far. You can maybe argue the tight end position, but that's just because the tight end position has been trash the last few weeks. I give this one an A-, Tricks. I think you got a really great squad. Assuming that Mahomes can kind of start to get back. A lot of people were talking about in my rest of the season rankings video that I'm too high on Patrick Mahomes. And I'm like, dude, like, I know the last 20 games have not been the most elite for Patrick Mahomes on a fantasy football perspective. Yes, I did say 20. But I'm expecting things to start turning around here. The offense hasn't looked bad. It's just like Travis Kelce hasn't gotten going. We need some more big plays from Xavier Worthy. 100%. Vito said, Allen, Reed, Ford, or Walker at flex. I will be going with Jaden Reed with Jordan Love back here. Jaden Reed, all the metrics scream that this dude's absolutely elite, absolutely killing it. So I 100% will be going with Jaden Reed out of all these options. But the second option for me would be Ken Walker. Vito. Goncalo, appreciate you being here. You said, hey, what running back would you target with a 27 first in Dynasty for a young 2-1 team projected to end 6-8 and 16 team? What running back would you target with? Honestly, and this is me, Goncalo. So you're seeing this jersey. I got a Jeremiah Smith jersey on. I don't know if I want to trade away a 27 first for a running back. I know we always want to win, but I don't know who you're going to buy right now in Dynasty with that first. Are you going to be buying like an Alvin Kamara? Are you going to be buying like even a Ken Walker? By 2027, these guys are going to be dust. So personally for me, I don't like trading future first for running backs in Dynasty. That's my personal opinion. If you're like, hey, I know you said you have a young team, but I would just continue to ride it out, honestly. And if you can trade, if you trade it for like a wide receiver or something, I feel a lot better about it. But honestly, trading first for running backs, especially older aging running backs, are always hard. And you're not going to get a young running back in Dynasty for just one first. Joe Grog, appreciate you tuning in. You said, should I trade away Ayuk and Moss for Montgomery, Addison, Hawkinson? Should I trade away Ayuk and Moss for Montgomery, Addison, Hawkinson? My other running back is Mixon. Other wide receivers are Monra, London, and Godwin. Honestly, I'm going to be holding the Zach Moss side here. Main reason is I still have Ayuk as a top 20 wide receiver rest of the season. Addison slides in somewhere around like wide receiver 32. Hawkinson, we're still going to have to determine. There's a chance that he comes back and looks like an absolutely great tight end. So I hear that, and then Zach Moss and Montgomery are pretty much similar to me. So personally, I lean the Ayuk and Moss side. I think there's going to be a pretty big bounce back for Brandon Ayuk, but I also understand why you might want to take the package on the right with a little bit more consistency from Montgomery, have the upside of Addison, and then, of course, Hawkinson coming back on this team. But I think with your current team that you have built, either package would work, but I want the Ayuk and Zach Moss side still. Jay Will said 3-0, but not feeling great with my roster. Thoughts on my team and any moves you make? Hurts, Brees, Monty, Pacheco, Mostert, Dowdle, Allen, Devontae, Higgins, McLaurin, J-Mo, D-Hop, Ferguson. Yeah, I think the biggest thing with this team is like looking at the wide receiver core. How can we tier up on some of these wide receivers? Like, can I take a Devontae and a McLaurin? Can I get, which I know that's going to be hard, especially with Devontae not playing this week. But can I take those two guys and get up into a Chris Olave, Chris Godwin? Like, that'd be a move that'd make me feel a lot better about this team. Or even take like a J-Mo, McLaurin, and can I get up into like a Drake London? DK Metcalf. Those would be some moves. But trying to do 2-for-1s is so easy for me just to say that. Highly recommend that if you guys want to look and see what some players are doing, Fantasy Calc has a trade database that I use in all my trade videos. Highly recommend that you guys go tune in to that to kind of get some ideas on trades outside of videos too if you want some more information. Dalton said, awesome, Bubba. Thanks for the help. Thanks, Dalton. Appreciate you being here. Rave, appreciate you tuning in. You said Laporta or Freiermuth. I assume Laporta is playing this week, so I lean Sam Laporta, but for a guy that's 8, 3, and 5 fantasy points the last 3 weeks is not something that I want to do. So personally, I'm still going with Sam Laporta, but I'm not feeling great about either. Appreciate you tuning in. Bogue Gently said PPR. I know it's crazy, but considering sitting Tyreek for Shakir, feels like this could be a breakout game for Shakir. I do have Cook as running back, so if that would be in conflict with each other. No, so Bogue Gently, I don't really like directly correlate or care if players are on the same team. Like, I just do my rankings. I base that off that, because even if one player goes off, the other doesn't, like, you still want that player that goes off on your roster. And so personally for me, in this situation, I'm still going to be playing Tyreek because I think Tyreek has the highest ceiling out of the two of them. Now, Khalil Shakir is clearly playing with the best quarterback. So I just have Tyreek Hill about 7 spots higher than Khalil Shakir. That could be a mistake. It could not be a mistake. But personally, for me, I would be going with Tyreek this week. I understand it's probably not going to be great, but he does have Mike McDaniel calling the plays. Tyler Huntley, granted, I know he was like a thrown-in Pro Bowler a few seasons ago, but it could be worse. I think Tyler Huntley, and this is a bold statement, I think Tyler Huntley could be better than what we saw from Skylar Thompson from a few weeks ago. So I lean with Tyreek Hill, but I could regret that. So, but if you want safety, I agree. Khalil Shakir is a little bit more safe, but I think the upside's there with Tyreek Hill. Justin said flex Dobbins, Kirk, Shakir, full PPR. Justin, I will be going with J.K. Dobbins here in this side, and maybe Khalil Shakir burns me. Maybe Khalil Shakir this week is the Juwan Jennings who I got wrong last week, but we'll have to see. Freddie said Gesicki, Elijah Higgins, or Ertz. I will be going with Zach Ertz, Freddie, in this matchup. I think Mike Gesicki's looked good. Mike Gesicki has looked good, but I will be going with Zach Ertz. And Eric All, I talked about him in my stash video today. I think Eric All is just going to continue to take more and more of the, as a Bengals fan, I think he's a lot more talented as a pass catcher. So not that I haven't liked what I saw from Mike Gesicki. I've been very pleased with Mike Gesicki, but I do think Eric All starts to eat into that a little bit more. So I do think I will be going with some Ertz there. Nikki Stacks, who should I start in my flex? Bowers, Jacobs, Kelsey, or Worthy? I'll be... Goodness, where do I have Bowers relative to Jacobs? I always hate starting a tight end in the flex, so I can't do that. Can't do it. I'll be going with Josh Jacobs, especially with Jordan Love. Hopefully that this turns the offense around, Nikki Stacks, for Jacobs, because we've been absolutely getting hammered by Josh Jacobs going forward. S. Lepaski says, you don't think Dotson will get a lot of action with AJ and Smith both being out? Trust me, he'll get action. I don't know if he can get open. I think this offense is going to be a heavy run attack. And maybe Dotson, it is a breakout game, but I'm S. Lepaski. I'm not looking too high into Jahan Dotson. Matt Wingo said half PPR, DJ Moore or Deontay. I will be going with Deontay. Have Deontay higher than DJ Moore this week. Matt Wingo, appreciate you. PR said, thanks, brother. I'm just not liking the Monty getting all the touchdowns. Trust me, it's been super frustrating for us Jahmyr Gibbs owners, but this happened last year. Jahmyr Gibbs, he really started to increase that snap share pretty much week 12 on. It's already starting to happen. I'm excited for Jahmyr Gibbs going forward. And it's not like his floor has been too bad either. Like, I feel like we've had a lot of floor games here recently, and we're talking like 16 fantasy points. Jaime, 16 team. Who would you start at flex? Jordan Mason against New England or Zach Moss against Carolina? I think you still have to go with Jordan Mason just based on the overall volume that both of them have been getting. I have Jordan Mason as a top 5 running back this week. I do have Zach Moss higher. Like, I have Zach Moss higher than you would probably think. I have him as my overall RB 18, but I would personally go with Jaime. I'd go with Jordan Mason over Zach Moss. Jason, appreciate you being here. You said Love or Caleb. In this situation, I will be going with Jordan Love. McBride is out. Parkinson or Strange. Ooh. I think we've just kept betting on Colby Parkinson, and it hasn't worked out at all. And so for me, I want to go with Brenton Strange. I know last week, 8 fantasy points the week before that. So I just continue to say we ride that. And especially this Jacksonville Jaguars team has been down in the second half, which I think is going to be a favorable game script for Brenton Strange. So give me some Brenton Strange. And Jason, of course, appreciate you being here, dude. Tricks, appreciate you, brother. Thanks for tuning in. Matt Wingo said full PPR, Mason or Aaron Jones. Matt Wingo, I will be going with some Jordan Mason. You guys are firing off these questions. It's been absolutely incredible here tonight. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you guys are new to the channel, we answer every start sit question. We do streams all the time. So I want you guys here in the community helping you guys win a fantasy football championship in you're winning week 4 because you're here, but we're going to help you win a fantasy football championship at the end of the season. Shaiwan, appreciate you being here. Oh, Andrews or Komet. Oh, you guys, I know we're all in this Mark Andrews predicament together. I think you got to go Cole Komet this week, Shaiwan, especially after all those targets last week. Now, with Keenan Allen coming back this week, I believe that does probably hurt and limit the amount of targets that he does get, because he did get 11 last week, and we also saw a huge target share for Rome Odunze. I just think we've seen Cole Kmet produce. We haven't seen Andrews produce. So give me the guy that has produced over Mark Andrews. But trust me, I'm stuck in a predicament. I'm rolling out Mark Andrews in a bunch of leagues because there's no tight ends that I feel good about on the waiver wire. Doesn't feel great. Hunter said, hell yeah, Who Day. I'm a Bengal fan too. Hey, Hunter, shout out to you. Hunter, where are you from? I'm from Ohio. I grew up in the Dayton, Ohio area. I live in Indiana now, but was from the Dayton, Ohio area. I am K9 said, I appreciate the help, broski. Good luck this week. Oh, good luck. I'll let you say Jar Jar, brother. I like the flair. No, I want to get it right. It's technically Jur. Yes, Jur. Did I get that right? Did I say Jur? I think I did. But as a playoff Jar Jar Binks, so feel free to comment. I'm probably gonna say Jar Jar just because that's what I've been calling you this whole time. But take it as I appreciate your actual name. I appreciate your actual name. I want to call your actual name, but that'll be my nickname for you. You need to switch your picture to actual Jar Jar Binks. I'm just telling you, Jar Jar, that's what you need to do. It'd be funny. Bundles 2.0 said, I traded Rashid Shaheed, Kyler Murray, and J.K. Dobbins for Amon-Ra St. Brown, George Kittle, Rashad White, and Zach Charbonnet. Did I win the trade? I mean, assuming that this is not Superflex or 2 quarterback, bundles. Huge deal for you. That's a major win. Someone sold super low on Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I 100% think you won that trade, bundles. That's absolutely great. Jaime said, appreciate everything you do, boss, with all the trade advice and start sits. Jaime, appreciate you. Like I said, we're in here in the community streets because we're trying to help you guys win your fantasy football leagues. It brings me a lot of joy to see how you guys do, and of course interacting with all y'all. So like I said, if you guys are just finding the channel now and asking start sit questions, congratulations. I welcome you here. We're trying to create the best fantasy football community from the ground up. So once you guys here, and the only way that we're going to do that is by getting the best fantasy football people in the space, in this community, and you guys have been awesome. Hunter said, I'm in the middle of Brooks for Warren. Yeah. Give me some Brooks. If you can trade away Jalen Warren and get Brooks, that's huge for you. Lepaski said, for the flex spot, starting Dotson or Ladd, Spears, or Braylon? Yeah, that's a great question. I believe it's going to be Braylon off the top, but let me pull up. Yeah, it's going to be Braylon Allen for me. I understand there's going to be potentially no, there's no AJ Brown, there's no Devontae Smith for Dotson. I just don't want to risk it with Dotson. And maybe that's what I was saying last week with Jawan Jennings. So a lot of you are like, oh my goodness, this is Caleb telling me the same crap again. And he's going to go insane by not doing a guy like Dotson, who should get like a 20 to 25% target share. I just don't trust the ability because even Dotson has never really done anything fantasy football-wise besides his rookie season when he caught a bunch of touchdowns. So really it's touchdown or bust for Dotson this week and potentially as the one that could happen. But if I'm just banking it on these guys here, I will be going with Braylon Allen for you. S. Lepaski. PRF said, how's my team? QB, Murray, running backs, Jonathan Taylor, Gibbs, Chuba, Charbonnet, Bucky, wide receivers, Malik Neighbors, St. Brown. Love that. And if I should go after something, what would it be? Yeah, I think you got a great team. I think you got great wide receivers. I mean, we got 3 top 12 wide receivers from the rest of the season, and you got JSN. Pitts, we like your running backs. And so that's an exciting part. I think the thing that we need to kind of determine with this build is how we can improve. Honestly, it's probably that tight end position. So can I take in a Dunze and a Pitts to try to improve? Can I get that to a Bowers? That'd be something that I would try to do PRF, but that might be hard because if you're the Bowers owner, like me, you're looking around the landscape and you're saying, well, all these tight ends suck besides Bowers. So that might be hard to do, but that's something that I would be trying to do if I were you. Finn said Moss, Chuba, Ken Walker, and Garrett Wilson start too. Finn, just goodness. Can you give me an easy one? Can you give me an easy one here, Finn? And I understand why you're here, why you're asking these hard-hitting questions, my guy. First guy will be Chuba. We will be starting Chuba. And then it's between Moss and Garrett Wilson for me, and I will be going with Garrett Wilson. If you want safer, I think Zach Moss is safer, but I do think Garrett Wilson has more upside. So I understand how things might be for you, but yeah, give me Chuba Hubbard and give me Garrett Wilson. But next week, you 100% will be starting a little bit of Ken Walker. I just accidentally scrolled all the way on my questions. So let me get back to where I was just at here with Finn. Let me keep going. Man, I am falling behind in the chat a ton. So I appreciate all you guys for waiting around. Chandra, girl, I'm so happy you're on the channel. Every time I see you comment, like, makes my heart happy. Hope you and the significant other are doing well, and you guys are doing well. You said, just here to support your channel. I have my roster all set. Fingers crossed. I'm 1 and 2. Well, hopefully Andrew answered your questions today, because if he's helping you win, then I understand. But if not, you let me know, and you come over here to get your advice. So appreciate you, Chandra. Jaime said, I don't know if you cover kickers, but should I keep streaming Butker or get someone off waivers like Farbarn? If Farbarn's available, you have to get Farbarn. He's like a top 2 type 2 kicker for me this week. So 100% go get Cammy. I'm cool with Butker too. I still have him as a top 4 kicker this week. Ronaldo said, Kenneth Walker, Jerome Ford, or Terry McLaurin for flex. Thank you, Ronaldo. Thanks for tuning in. Now, this is going to be an interesting one of where do I have Jerome Ford to Kenneth Walker with this injury news? Personally, I still have Jerome Ford higher. I do think it's a pretty good matchup for Jerome Ford versus Vegas. But just so you're aware, Ronaldo, just like currently at this moment, I do have Jerome Ford as my overall RB24. And then I have Kenneth Walker as my RB28. So it's close. Now, if I knew Ken Walker was going to be getting all the touches this week, then I 100% would be telling you Ken Walker. But since I don't know that at this current moment, I do lean Jerome Ford ever so slightly. But I'm holding my breath because we have seen Ken Walker absolutely demolish. Thank you for being here, Ronaldo. Jaime said, oh my G, just witnessed an amazing catch by Bama, was floating midwhere. Well, like I said, I'm watching the end of this Ohio State game, but I think after this week, Bama needs to be ranked number 1, and that's coming from a biased Ohio State fan. Bama looked absolutely killer. Jalen Milroe, shout out to Kalen DeBoer coming in after the GOAT and just kicking SEC butt. Ronaldo said Ridley or Carson Steele. We will be going with Carson Steele here, Ronaldo. It's bobbled. Finn said, thank you, brother. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for being here. Winter's very own. Shout out to that. Shout out to the profile picture. We love it. What 3 wide receivers should I play? Hill, Waddle, Pickens, Yoshi Voss, and Juwan Jennings. I will personally be going with Hill, Pickens, and Juwan Jennings. But if we do get word that Deebo Samuel is playing, I'm still probably rolling out Juwan Jennings over Waddle with a backup quarterback. I know I'm starting Tyreek Hill in the spots, but I don't want too much exposure to this Dolphins defense this week. So give me Hill, give me Pickens, and give me Juwan Jennings. Appreciate you, Winter's very own. Thanks so much for waiting. Lepaski said, Schultz or Elijah Higgins at tight end. I will be going with Schultz. I understand Elijah Higgins is the starter with Noah McBride, but I still think you got to start Dalton Schultz this week. Appreciate you, Lepaski. Lucas, appreciate you being here. You said, would you start Jane Daniels or Jalen Hurts with all the Eagles injuries? Listen, I don't think there's a person in the fantasy space. Actually, that's a false statement. I think I might be an insane person for Jane Daniels. I have boosted Jane Daniels to top 3 quarterbacks rest of the season, and that might not be crazy. But this week I do have Jane Daniels ahead of Jalen Hurts with all the injuries. And in a dynasty league, just so we're aware, I did trade Jalen Hurts away for Jane Daniels in a dynasty league. So we're going full in on Jane Daniels. It's crazy. Matt Wingo said, sounds good. Thanks, Pimpin'. I appreciate you. Appreciate you, Matt. Jaime said, yeah, everyone's hyping up Moss, so I wasn't sure to start him or Mason. I just know and heard New England's run defense is good. Yeah. And I would say this, Jaime, when you're looking at the overall 49ers and Kyle Shanahan, he's just going to be able to scheme up Jordan Mason. So we love to see whoever's getting the volume there, which is Jordan Mason at the time. So 100%, give me some Jordan Mason over Zach Moss. Craig said, trade Jacobs for Ayuk. Craig, I'll be honest, off the rip, I would be holding Josh Jacobs here. But if you're loaded at like a ton of different running backs, you got 3 elite level running backs and maybe Jacobs is 3 or 4, and you have no wide receivers, I would understand why you would do this. But for Josh Jacobs, rest of the season, you should be able to get a better player. So like let me give you some examples. If you're trading away Josh Jacobs, you should be able to get, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr., Nico Collins. Like those would be better players just because of how depleted the running backs are right now. But I would not do it for Ayuk. It's Carmen said, Caleb back at it with the live. Let's go. Start Dobbins, Garrett Wilson, or Akers, assuming no Mixon in standard. Ooh, in standard? Let me switch over my rankings for you. It's Carmen, and we'll dive into where I believe we will be going versus Garrett Wilson. Ugh. This is hard. I would still go Garrett Wilson, but I feel less strong about it, especially with Patrick Surtain. Like, it's touchdown or bust for Garrett Wilson, but J.K. Dobbins also feels touchdown or bust, and going up against that Kansas City Chiefs front 7 has me slightly nervous in my rankings. So I would go Garrett Wilson, but it's close between Garrett Wilson and Dobbins. I'm not starting Akers this week because I do think Joe Mixon actually ends up giving it a run. So all my Akers teams, which it was great, I'm actually going to have to go back to the overall and figure out who I'm starting here over the next few hours before kickoff. We have PRF says, who do you think the best buy low candidates are right now? PRF, go tune into my. I'm just kidding. I would go tune into my. I had to put out a buy video earlier this week, where we talked about some really great buy candidates. Off the rip, some guys that I really like to be buying. I think Garrett Wilson is still in for a big breakout that he hasn't had, so I'd be buying Garrett Wilson. JSN, I would still be buying some JSN. Who else would I be buying? I mean, you got all the elite level guys that you could definitely be trying to buy. I'm not trying to just tell you to go buy Bijan Robinson or Breece Hall. I think Tony Pollard's an interesting buy, especially down the stretch. I think Tony Pollard continues to step things up. So for sure. Jay Will, you from Dayton? Boy, let me know. That's crazy if you are. Dayton versus the world though, for sure. Ohio against the world, for sure. PR said, thanks for the help, by the way. Of course, PRF, appreciate you. And then Jason, you said rate your team. Jason, did you give me your team? Or am I missing it? I'm scrolling up. I don't know if I have your team, Jason. If you were typing it out and you got passed. So if I get to that question here, I will rate your team, Jason. So sorry if I missed it. Jar Jar Binks. Jar Jar. Appreciate you, bro. You said I'm going to change my profile picture to Jar Jar for the next stream. I got to head out. Thanks for all you do in the community. I'll be back the next one. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. Dylan said, Devon, J-Mo, and Waddle for Connor and Hill. Here I do want the Devon side because I think Devon, rest of the season, I have him above James Conner. And I do think J-Mo and Waddle make it close enough to Hill that I want the elite level running back here. Give me the A-Chain, J-Mo, and Waddle side. For sure, Dylan. Appreciate you tuning in. Johnny38 said, start Jawan Jennings versus Patriots or Khalil Shakir versus Ravens. Johnny, this will be a very simple question. If Deebo Samuel does not play, you play Jawan Jennings. But if Deebo Samuel does play, then I would be going with Khalil Shakir. So kind of a little if and or statement. That's how I view things right now. Simon say, Caleb, I need a wide receiver 2 and a flex. Pick 2 between Garrett Wilson, Tyreek, Jacoby Myers, JSN, and Pickens. I will be going with Jacoby Myers and Garrett Wilson this week, Simon. And I know it feels weird starting Jacoby Myers over like a JSN or a Pickens. But I do think Jacoby this week is it is interesting. It's very interesting for Jacoby Myers. Now, I say that, and then I do think that the Detroit-Seattle game will be high enough scoring based on Vegas sportsbooks that you could go JSN. So personally, this is how I view it, Simon. Garrett Wilson for sure, and then debate between JSN and Jacoby Myers. If you have a preference between them, I would go that way. I think you got good enough options that you don't have to roll out Tyreek Hill this week. You can kind of observe, see what's happening, and then kind of go back to the well next week. You might miss out on a huge spike week game from Tyreek, but there's literally like no middle ground with Tyreek. It's either going to be a 20-point game or it's going to be a 5-point game. That's kind of what we're looking at. A. Walker said, should I trade David Montgomery for Jaden Reed and half PPR, Breece and James Cook? So this would be my flex. A. Walker, you're probably coming into a stream with a guy that believes so heavily into Jaden Reed that I'm going to tell you to do it. So take the Jaden Reed side, run. Excited to see what Jaden Reed can do with a full, healthy Jordan Love. Johnny38 said, start Ramondre Stevenson versus Patriots or Kenneth Walker. I will go back to the well, Johnny, with Ramondre Stevenson over Kenneth Walker. The reason that I'm doing that, I know it was not great last week versus the Jets, but I still have Ramondre Stevenson a little bit higher. Now, in a normal week when Kenneth Walker isn't coming off an injury, 100%. Give me Kenneth Walker. But I will be doing Ramondre Stevenson is who I would be doing there this week. Johnny, Anna, always appreciate you tuning in. Anna, you need to tell me your record because you always come in here, you ask a great start-sit question, and I don't know, are we winning? That's kind of what I want to know, Anna. But thank you for being one of the few females here on this stream. You said, do I start Jacoby or Keenan Allen at flex? I'll be starting Jacoby Myers, 100%, Anna. Appreciate you tuning in. Let me know how I can help you rest of the season. Ace says, what's up, y'all? Should I send Monty for Debo? PPR, my running backs are Brooks, Mason, and Roshan Johnson. Ace, I'll say this. In a perfect world, Debo is a lot higher for me rest of the season than Monty. So I'm taking the Debo Samuel side. Now, the issue is going to be we're relying on Roshan Johnson or Brooks to be our RB2. Listen, you're not going to meet another guy that loves some Jonathan Brooks more than I do, but we still are probably waiting like 2 to 3 weeks before Jonathan Brooks actually starts to really produce some fantasy football points for you. Roshan Johnson is making a lot of headroom, and then we got Mason with the CMC injury. So I am a little bit worried about this from your overall roster construction point, Ace, but assuming that if you don't have like elite level wide receivers and Debo's not going to be riding the bench, I am 100% doing the Debo side. Fair Hall said who to start. One wide receiver, one flex. Garrett Wilson, DJ Moore, Rashid Shaheed, Brian Thomas Jr., Braylon Allen, DeAndre Swift. One wide receiver and one flex. I will be doing Garrett Wilson here, and then I will be doing DJ Moore, Fair Hall. I know that's probably what you were thinking about doing. Rashid Shaheed, I think it's hard for me to continue ranking him, especially after that little 0-pointer that he did put up. But I will be going with DJ Moore and Garrett Wilson this week is what I would be doing if I were you. Johnny said start Ramondre. Oh, Johnny, you would be going with some Ramondre Stevenson if you missed it there, my guy. Joe said Richardson or Field this week. I will be going with Justin Fields, Joe. Like that Konami level code upside this week for Justin Fields. And then you said Hurts or Jaden Daniels. Joe, I will be going with Jaden Daniels. I gave you the props this week to do that. The only players I'm starting over Jaden Daniels this week at quarterback are going to be Kyler Murray or Josh Allen. If it's not one of those two, then I will be starting and rolling out some Jaden Daniels. Craig said Pollard, Jacobs of Wilson start one PPR. In PPR, I think the other issue with me with Garrett Wilson is I have been pretty biased on Garrett Wilson. But for this week in particular, I don't think I can tell you to go with Garrett Wilson. I will be going with Josh Jacobs over Garrett Wilson. But I have them literally like 3 spots apart. So if you prefer the wide receiver, understand that in a full PPR format. But I'd be going with Josh Jacobs, especially with Jordan Love back. Johnny38 said stick with Mark Andrews, who's been driving me crazy, or Pat Fryermuth. Well, Johnny38, Mark Andrews is driving me crazy too. I'm up a wall. I was an idiot. I drafted him in most of my leagues in the 4th round, and now I'm sitting here and I'm like, I wasted a 4th round pick. I was hoping to like Rashee Rice would fall to the 5th for me in a bunch of spots. He didn't, and now I'm sitting here like I could have had like Malik Neighbors and Rashee Rice, but my life did not go that way. So personally, I will be going with. I'll roll out Mark Andrews here. That's probably not the best fantasy football advice to be like, yep, we're back to it. But Pat Fryermuth, I do have down as my tight end 11. I have Mark Andrews as my tight end 9, but I have not been a tight end oracle to say the least. So Johnny, if you don't want to listen to me, I understand. If you just want to, sometimes your players do need a little bit of coaching. Sometimes you do just need to throw your player down on the bench, tell them, hey, you're off this week. If you don't start performing, and sometimes that pep talks is all it's going to take. All it's going to take to get him rolling. Jason, appreciate you tuning in and waiting for this question. You said, rate my team 12 team, 2 flex, Burrow, Kamara, Ramondre, St. Brown, Chris Godwin, George Kittle, flex, Deontay Johnson, Shakir, or Rashad White, Puka, MIR, PPR. Thanks, Jason. Always appreciate you. If I'm ranking your team, I mean, honestly, you got good running backs between Ramondre, Kamara, you got St. Brown, Chris Godwin, pretty, like I said, you got 2 top 10 wide receivers for me rest of the season. George Kittle has been performing when he's been healthy as a tight end. You got Deontay Johnson, who has, of course, got boosted up my overall rankings. I give this team, just based on the current landscape of how things are looking, I give this team an A-, and that's not me just trying to hype things up, especially if Puka come back for you week 8. I think you're going to be able to wait for that, Jason. Absolutely love your team. Thanks for tuning in, bro. PR said, I trade Pitts and Charbonnet for Brock Bowers. 100%. Give me Brock Bowers. He's on an elite level track, PRF. So appreciate you tuning in. Casey, good to see you. You said T. Higgins or Zach Moss this week. Give me some Zach Moss. Listen, I love me some T. Higgins. I'm a Bengals fan. I'm hoping, for things to happen. I know there's all the rumors now that if they don't start winning, that they're going to trade one of them away between Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. I don't think that's happening, but give me some Zach Moss versus Carolina. I like that for you, Casey. Simon said, Caleb, I needed 2 wide receiver and 2 flex. Oh, goodness. You already put this, Simon, but I'll repeat what I said. I'd be going with Garrett Wilson and Jacoby Myers, but it's between Jacoby Myers and JSN for me. Viz De Niro, appreciate you being here, dude. You said, I have St. Brown as one of my starters. I do not know what to do for my next. Ayuk, J-Mo, Jennings, and Shakir. Starters are Stroud, Moss, Kyron, St. Brown, Blank, Komet, McBride out, and Devon. Okay, cool. Great team, Fizzato. So I understand kind of why you're debating that. Really, for me right here, it comes down between Brandon Ayuk and Juwan Jennings. Now, last week, I will say this. I'm going with Brandon Ayuk. This week, I'm going back to the well. But Brandon Ayuk, honestly, this season, 3, 6, 7 fantasy points hasn't been good. And especially after the big 40-point outbreak for Juwan Jennings, you're probably like, Caleb, how can I bench Jennings? I understand. I think that's all the debate. And Shakir has been doing very good himself. Personally, I go with Brandon Ayuk. That's just how I have it in my rankings. I understand the last 3 weeks haven't been great, but I do think they paid him a ton of money. They're going to want to start to get him involved. So I lean with that Brandon Ayuk side. Viz De Niro, appreciate you being here. PRF said, this might have been the best trade I've ever done in fantasy in a long time. Week 2, I traded Waddle and Mark Andrews for Isaiah Likely and Malik Neighbors. PRF, put your pat on your back for that one. That's a great trade. That's a great trade. So we'll do a little bit of a DJ air horn for you. That's absolutely killer for you. Ozzy, appreciate you tuning in. You said PPR league Javonte Williams or Roshan Johnson or Richard, like Patrick Richard, like the goodness. I would go with Roshan this week. We just can't trust Javonte Williams. I do think, I don't want to say that he's absolute waiver dust, but he probably in a lot of leagues should be waiver dust. So appreciate you tuning in, Ozzy. Thanks so much. We got Visnero said, leaning towards Shakir. I'm 1-2, really need this win. Oh, you're leaning towards Shakir after I just said, who did I tell you to start? Oh, told you to start Ayuk. I understand. And if you, Visnero, sometimes you just got to go with your gut. I'm over here looking at it from like a big perspective of my rankings and how I would evaluate. But sometimes I'll say this. Sometimes you do just got to go with your gut because your gut's right a lot of times. Now, my gut tends to be wrong a ton of times. And so, and specifically when I'm looking at my own rosters, I'm a little bit biased. And so I pick players, but I'm pretty confident in Brandon Ayuk this week. I have him as a top 20 wide receiver this week, actually top 15 wide receiver this week. So I'd be leaning with Brandon Ayuk. Dylan said, A-Chain Waddle for Gibbs and Debo. Give me the Gibbs and Debo side easily, Dylan T. Waddle with a backup level quarterback. We don't know if Tua's ever going to come back this season. And then Devon, I have behind Gibbs. So I think you're getting two better assets with Gibbs and Debo. That's the way that I would go. Dylan. Casey said T. Higgins or Zach Moss, Amari Cooper, or T. Higgins or Moss, full PPR. T. Higgins or Zach Moss, Amari Cooper. Yeah, I'd still be going with Zach Moss or T. Higgins or Moss. Yeah, I'd go with Moss in both lineups there for you, Casey. Thanks for tuning in. Bro, Simon, I don't know if you're just spamming the chat, but Garrett Wilson, Jacoby Myers, my dude. Said 12 team, continue to hold for depth during bye weeks or upgrade at running back. Yeah, I think with you having Rice and Neighbors, we love that. Hold Tyreek. I think we could be looking at what could we do. I love all three. Like, I love all your receivers. I think Shakir is definitely expendable. So how can we do Shakir and Ford to get you a better running back? So you have three running backs that we feel good about, Bogendley. So that'd be something that I'd be looking to do. If you're looking for guys like off the top, like a David Montgomery, James Conner would be guys that I would target with Shakir and Jerome Ford. Roger, appreciate you tuning in. You said 12-man PPR, Javonte Williams or Xavier Leggett. We have just entered the muddin zone. We are out here in the mud. And let me tell you, I don't feel great about it. I don't. But if I had a gun to my head and I had to choose one of these guys, which I am here, Roger, you're holding me hostage, I would be going with Xavier Leggett. I think after what we saw Andy Dalton do, knowing that he's first-round talent wide receiver, we like the snap share from a few weeks ago. I'm a little bit worried about Javonte Williams, not going to lie, so give me Xavier Leggett. But I don't feel great about it, Roger. There's a chance that both these guys give you zeros. Ace says, could I also trade Monty for Garrett Wilson? That might be a hard one, but I would love if I could get Garrett Wilson by trading away David Montgomery. Bo Gently said, could upgrade at tight end, but I feel like a team can compete with tight end Wasteland. I mean, yeah, you think you're upgrading until that happens. Wait. Fairhall, I don't think I skipped you, bro. I promise I didn't skip you. I answered your question, bro. You said you might have just gotten an ad or something and you missed it. You said who to start. Like I said, I'll start Garrett Wilson and DJ Moore. Fairhall, that's who I'll start. So sorry if you feel like I skipped you. Thanks for throwing it back in the chat. But yeah, I would go with Garrett Wilson and DJ Moore. Eric said 12-team full PPR. My team is Kyler, Laporta, Conklin, Brees, Jordan Mason, Warren, Irving, Wright, Allen, Marvin Harrison Jr., Devontae Smith. Lineup help, please. Yeah, I'd be going with Kyler. I would start Laporta as your tight end. I would be going with Brees and Jordan Mason as your two running backs. I would go with Marvin Harrison Jr. There's no Devontae Smith. I would go with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Deontay Johnson. And then I would go with Jameson Williams in your flex, assuming that's a flex. If you need a second flex, then I would just go with Brian Thomas Jr. Thank you for tuning in, Eric. Craig, of course. Thank you, bro. Santiago, appreciate you tuning in, dude. You said Romo, Dunze, or Reek. And this is where we start to get into real interesting discussion, where we got Keenan Allen coming back this week. So how's that going to affect Rome and the overall target share? Even though Rome's a top 10 wide receiver, we know that. But then you got Tyreek Hill. How far to bump down Tyreek Hill with backup level quarterbacks? Personally, for me, I still lean the Tyreek Hill side. I pushed Tyreek Hill down to my wide receiver 22. So I felt like it was an appropriate level value with the upside baked in, knowing that Tyreek Hill is an absolute demon. But can he be a demon without no Tua Tagovailoa? Hasn't been like that the last 2 weeks. I'm hoping for bigger and better days ahead. But Santiago, thanks so much for tuning in. Ant said, start 2, bench 1. Olave, Michael Wilson, BTJ. If I had to start 2, I would start Chris Olave. And then where do I have? I do love me some Michael Wilson. I am a big Michael Wilson guy, but I'll be going with Brian Thomas Jr. over Michael Wilson this week. And appreciate you tuning in. Santiago said, also, who do you start? Josh Jacobs, Pollard, or Chuba Hubbard? I am higher on Chuba Hubbard this week than most, but I will still go with Josh Jacobs over Chuba Hubbard. So appreciate you tuning in, Santiago. Like I said, guys, if you guys are tuning in for the first time, appreciate you guys so much. Answering all start-sit questions here this season in the comments, in the live stream. So appreciate you guys finding the channel. Joe said, flex 2 PPR, Mooney, Michael Wilson, Jennings, and Myers. If I have to flex 2, I'll be doing Jennings and Myers. Joe, thanks so much for tuning in, bro. Fairhall says, Kamara and Olave with injuries, though. Shaheed could be big. No. I mean, yeah, we've seen Shaheed be big, so I don't want to discount Shaheed. He is my overall wide receiver 29 this week. He started off super fast. I mean, 14, 18 fantasy points the first 2 weeks, and then had that big old 0 this last week. So I assume he gets involved, but I wouldn't say that I'm pushing him any higher. It depends on your start set question. He's probably a flex play for you, depending on how your lineup is built out. Fairhall, appreciate you. Of course. Monkey, appreciate you being here. You said Tyreek and A-Chain. Is it dumb to swap one of them with someone like Michael Wilson or someone in that ranking? I'm worried about the Dolphins offense. And I feel like I'm continuing to talk about it. And I know a lot of you guys are discussing this. This is why we're having these discussions. For me, I'm not subbing them out for Michael Wilson. I love some Michael Wilson. He's a great late round stash. End of the bench. We saw him really produce last week. But personally, I'm still starting Tyreek and Devon. And then we'll kind of go and reevaluate from here. Chandra said, between you and Andrew, I'll be killing it this year. You guys are the best out there, and my hubby appreciates the content too. He watches with me. Thanks for all the hard work. Yeah, Chandra, thanks so much. Tell Andrew next time you're in a stream that he needs to come on and do a dual stream. He's been dodging me. No, Andrew's one of my best friends in the space. But give him a hard time for me next time you see him, Chandra. That one, Marcel. I have Jordan Love as my QB1, but could stream Caleb Williams, Darnold, Justin Fields, or Geno Smith. Who should I start this week? Personally, for me, I will be starting Justin Fields this week. Like I said, starting Justin Fields over Sam Darnold doesn't feel great when I say that based on everything we've seen from Sam Darnold, but I do like Justin Fields in that overall upside. I also have Geno Smith ahead of Darnold this week, but I think you still hold Jordan Love. I'm just a little bit worried about that mobility week 1 coming off that injury. PRF said, what do you think about trading Chuba Hubbard and JSN for Jaden Reed? Well, PRF, I'll tell you this. That's going to be probably a lot at this current moment, because I do think you could probably get away with JSN straight up for Jaden Reed. And personally for me, I do want Jaden Reed over JSN rest of season in redraft. JSN has had some flashes. We've seen it. I'm just a little bit, if you add in Chuba Hubbard, I do want a small piece coming back on the Jaden Reed side for you, PRF. Jaime said, who you start at defense this week, Texans D or get a defense off waivers like Miami D? Personally, Jaime, I will be going with, I say personally, you're not asking me the question. That's dumb. I'll be going with Miami Dolphins defense versus Tennessee. Tennessee's been absolutely coughing the rock up. Who's to blame here? Is it going to be Will Howard? Not Will Howard. I'm talking the Buckeyes. No, Will Levis. Goodness, get the Mayo Man himself. I would personally go with the Dolphins D. Now, the worry is they get down really early and they have to throw the ball a ton. And Miami Dolphins gets down, just because their offense sucks this week. So that's the worry, but I would still go with Miami defense over Texans defense. Simon, appreciate you being here. You said my team is quarterback Burrow, Martin Hashdun, Garrett Wilson, JSN, Pickens, Jacoby, Tyreek, Pickens, Swift. Okay, should I try and trade one of my wide receivers in a package for a running back? I think you should. But it depends on, I don't think your running backs are terrible. But yeah, I would hold on to Marvin Harrison Jr., Garrett Wilson, Reek, and JSN, and honestly, Pickens and Jacoby, especially if you can't get it done before this week. I think Jacoby does have a big game. So I would try to package some Pickens and Jacoby to get another running back. Specifically, if you could package those two guys and get up into a Brian Robinson Jr., a Travis Etienne, that's kind of what I would do. You might not be able to get that high. Even a David Montgomery type would be fine with me there, Simon. Appreciate you tuning in. Roger said 12 team Javonte or Xavier Legette. Roger, if you missed it, I will be going with Xavier Legette. Vidhir said, thanks, bud. Appreciate you. Been back and forth with Ayuk and Shakir. You think Josh Allen throws a lot this game? That rebuttal was before you read my question, but oh, no, you're good. You're good. You're allowed to rebuttal me. You guys actually, a lot of you, I'm not saying a lot of you. We get a lot of, with us kind of growing a ton, we've been getting a lot of great comments, a lot of great people in the community, and then you also get a lot of trolls that come in. So no, you guys, if you guys want to rebuttal me, like, it's your team. So you get to determine who you want to start week in and week out. I think this week, I mean, the last few weeks, against Miami, when he only had 19 attempts, it wasn't great, but I do think he probably ends up somewhere. I would say somewhere between the Arizona and Jacksonville. I think he probably ends up around 34 passing attempts this game. So that's kind of my deal. And I don't think Shakir is a bad option. I think you're in a difficult spot because we haven't seen Tyreek Hill without Tua, and we're still kind of banking on old production. And Simon, just firing away in the chat, bro. I love you. Casey said, waiver wire, since Trey McBride is out, would you grab Tyler Conklin or Dalton Schultz for tight end? For this week in particular, rest of the season. Like, honestly, this week in particular, I will be going with Dalton Schultz over Tyler Conklin, but I do think we have some, both are close enough. I have both of them two spots away in my rankings, but I would go with Tyler Conklin. And then Viz said, what do you honestly think about Braylon Allen? Could he be a possible winner? I have him just starting on my bench, just waiting to be unleashed. LO, your thoughts? Yeah. I mean, I think he has weekly, like, borderline, if you have like a 2 flex level, like, he's definitely flexible for you. I say flexible. Flex startable for you, where we've seen like the last few weeks, anywhere between like 8 to 10 fantasy points. Now, the key is going to be if something, knock on wood, I have too much Breece Hall. So guys, hold your ears if you don't want to hear anything bad about Breece Hall. But if something were to happen to Breece Hall, yeah, Braylon Allen instantly bumps up to a top 8, top 7 running back rest of the season. So I do think he has potential to be a league winner. I just don't want to talk about what that would have to happen for that to happen. Of course. Thanks for tuning in, bro. Theo, appreciate you tuning in. Bro, you're changing your profile picture all the time. I just appreciate this about you. And also, I've never said this publicly, Theo, but I'm so jealous of the stash. I can literally grow like an Amish beard. So if you guys ever see, like, I got an Amish beard growing, but I can never get like a stash like that. So I'm jealous of you, Theo. Start DJ Moore or Amari Cooper this week. I will be starting DJ Moore, Theo. Appreciate you. Aldo said Chuba, Addison, or Juwan Jennings for my last flex spot. I will be going with Chuba, Aldo. I do have Chuba pretty high this week. Now, in coming weeks, I am a little bit concerned about the overall upside of Chuba Hubbard, but I will be going with Chuba. But if Jonathan Brooks is out there on your waiver wire, Aldo, 100% go see if he's out there or if you can trade for him. Buddy, appreciate you. What's Buddy the Elf? You need to change your profile picture to Buddy the Elf. I think that would be highly appropriate for you. Is it dumb to start Shakir over Garrett Wilson? I personally have Garrett Wilson higher, but last week we did see Patrick Surtain absolutely lock down Mike Evans and made all my Mike Evans takes irrelevant. So if he does it to Garrett Wilson this week, I guess we're gonna, I'll be a dummy 2 weeks in a row. But personally for me, I do have Garrett Wilson higher than Shakir, so I would be going with Garrett Wilson. Appreciate you, buddy. Johnny38 says, someone offered me Trey McBride and DJ Moore for Amon-Ra St. Brown and Kenneth Walker. Personally, for me, I want the Amon-Ra St. Brown and Kenneth Walker side, Johnny38. That's who I would keep. Your boy said, asked this earlier but forgot this. I had McBride out. Who would you drop to pick up tight end? AR is my quarterback, Fields, Chase Brown, Steele, Christian Kirk, or Hawk. The thing is, Darnold. Yeah. I would be just dropping Chase Brown. And I know that's hard. And I think Steele, the question is going to be Steele and Kareem Hunt coming down the line. But personally, for me, I would do Chase Brown. He's the lowest that I have in my rest of the season rankings out of all three. Ant, appreciate you. Thanks so much. I don't know if you've served our country with that flag in the back, but appreciate you, dude. Thanks so much. Your boy said, after this week is over, so would Fields be more droppable with this info instead of Chase Brown? So you have quarterbacks Fields. I don't think Fields is like droppable. In my rest of season rankings, Fields has been kind of getting pushed up. I know a lot of people are worried. I still have Justin Fields as a top 15 quarterback rest of season, but he potentially will be droppable after this week, just depending on your team, your boy. Let's go. Fairhall said, team review, 10-man league. Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson, Aaron Rodgers, Kyron Williams, Jordan Mason, Neighbors, Wilson, George Kittle. I mean, the biggest thing with this team, Fairhall, is just going to be, when does Christian McCaffrey come back and when does that hurt you? Because right now you do have two top 6 to 7 running backs on a weekly basis with both Kyron Williams and Jordan Mason. You got Neighbors, top 3 wide receiver for me the rest of the season. You got Garrett Wilson, the top 10 wide receiver for me the rest of the season. We got George Kittle, who's a top 4 tight end. If he could stay healthy, he'd be a lot higher than that. So that's kind of the big thing with me is with this team. So I would honestly give this like a B+. My biggest concern in a 10-man league is what we're going to be doing with the RB2 position if CMC, you got CMC on RER, so we're not worried about that. So I repeat, that's an A- team. Fair haul. Sorry about that. Getting clarification here. I thought you meant I was overthinking this. Yeah, give this an A-, bro. Good team. PRF said a little bit of a different question. What do you think is a funny league username is? I was thinking about trading for Dak so I can make my team. Dang it. Like Hawk Tua right now. Honestly, if you guys want to steal this, I have a picture. This one's actually funny. This is a great question, PRF, and then I'll get back to all the start state questions. But when I first started playing Dynasty, I typed in like funny names, and this is probably not funny because I don't want to say it, but I'll say it anyway because we all know. I am the Hernandez Hitman in a lot of my leagues, and I have a picture of Aaron Hernandez at his trial. And it's not funny because I do think what happened to Aaron Hernandez was very unfortunate, but that is my league name in a lot of leagues. Just True said 10-team PPR. Stroud, Singletary, Harris, Moore, Jefferson, Kmet, Shakir, Daniels, Charb, Dobbins, Dell, Cup, likely. Thinking dropping Charb or likely for Irving, helping wife's team. Yeah, I would just drop likely. I'd hold on to Charb, especially with all the injuries that we've been having with Kenneth Walker. But look at you being a good husband, helping out your wife's fantasy football team. Maybe next year, I need to start a league where I can get my wife into fantasy football. She hasn't been into it. I need to work some magic. So shout out to you, Just True. Your boy said Taysom or Strange this week. I will be going with Brenton Strange this week. Your boy. Vizdenero said it'd be the only 1 week I said Ayuk goes off. Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. You're going to decide you're going to talk yourself into Khalil Shakir, and then all of a sudden he's going to pop off this week. Austin, thanks so much. You said start sit question, brother. Appreciate you, Austin. Thanks for tuning in. Like I said, guys, if this is your first time on the channel, we are answering every start sit question for you guys in the comments of every video, doing live streams like 3 to 4 times a week, depending on the schedule. So appreciate you guys for tuning in and wanting to become part of the channel community, trying to build the best fantasy football channel from the ground up. You said Brian Thomas or Xavier Worthy, also Kansas City defense or Raiders. I will be going with Brian Thomas Jr. and the Kansas City defense. And also, just so we know, earlier in the week, I have my rankings. I adjust them. Sometimes it takes me a second because I got to look at the ranking just to double check. Here, I know where the players are at, so I know it's Kansas City and I know it's Brian Thomas Jr. Just so anyone's aware if I just rip off your start sit question without looking. Unruly Drip said debating Rojo versus Allen for RB in PPR. Shout out to Roshan Johnson for keeping the Rojo nickname alive because Ronald Jones just... It's sad that that man wasn't able to be more, especially when Leonard Fournette came and took his job on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But if I had to decide between the two of them, I'm personally going with Braylon Allen. But the way that Roshan last week got a 37% snap share, if that jumps up into the 50% snap share range, I do think I end up losing this. But I do think over the next few weeks he will, and that's why I have him as a major stash. But personally for me, Unruly Drip, I will go with Braylon Allen. Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color? My team is QB, Murray, Cook, Mason, Pacheco, Braylon Allen. Yeah. What does my team need? Honestly, we look good at the running back position, assuming that Jordan Mason and when Pacheco comes back are kind of aligned. The fact that Tyreek Hill got hurt for you, that doesn't feel great, but you do have Wilson and Metcalf. I'd say Tua got hurt for Tyreek Hill, so the overall upside's there, but you got Wilson and Metcalf, so I feel okay about that. We got Bowers as our tight end and Murray. I think the biggest thing we would probably need to discuss is, do we need someone to replace Tyreek Hill as that clear number 1 wide receiver rest of the season? But the issue, if we're going to have to get there, is we're going to have to attach, I don't know what you're going to be able to give up right now with everyone not performing. So the biggest thing for us is going to be to wait to see if Bucky Irving can turn into anything, and then we maybe will be able to pair one of these running backs with a wide receiver to get a higher tier wide receiver. But until then, buddy, just keep rocking this team. I think you got a really great squad. Oh my goodness. Solo, did I miss this? Did this just come in, or have you been here waiting for a minute, bro? I'm so sorry to make you wait on the super chat. You said, should I drop Rashad White for Bucky Irving? I will say, should I drop Rashad White for Bucky Irving? Depends on what your team is, Solo. So if you want to type out your team, I think rest of season, I wouldn't do it. I still have some faith in Rashad White, but when I say some faith, that means that Bucky Irving is in my rest of season rankings about 6 spots below. But if you need, if Rashad White isn't going to play this week and you want to pounce on Bucky Irving. I understand why you would do it, but let me know your team, and I can kind of give you some better ideas of players that you could potentially be dropping at the end of your bench. But bro, thanks so much for tuning in all the time. Absolutely. Or for the super chat, bro. Supports the channel a ton. So let me know if I can answer this more in detail. I'm not doing it personally right now, but I'm also a Rashad White like biased guy for the last 2 years, and the yards per carry isn't looking good. So I agree. It is a discussion, but I would debate that solo. So I appreciate you being here, dude. Let me know if I can help answer that a little bit deeper for you, because you did spend that super chat money. So appreciate you. Smoothie King 99, appreciate you, bro. You said Javonte, Christian Watson, or Downs at flex. Oh goodness gracious, Smoothie King. We are in the mud again. Someone was debating Jaime earlier. Was it Jaime or was it PB&J was debating Josh Downs earlier? And I think you got to go Christian Watson here. Christian Watson with Jordan Love coming back. I told someone to drop Christian Watson in an earlier. So he is definitely on that line of should he be droppable, should he not be? But I would go with Christian Watson over Downs and Javonte this week. Smoothie King, appreciate you. Oh, the catch, fantasy football, bro. Keep grinding the content too, my brother. Appreciate all the kind words. Aldo said, Chuba, Addison, or Juwan Jennings, full PPR. I will be going with Chuba Hubbard, Aldo, in full PPR. So appreciate you tuning in. Like I said, guys, if you guys have these start sit questions, continue firing these away. Absolutely appreciate all the love y'all are sending over my way. It means the absolute world. Anthony said, what's up, everyone? Shout out to Anthony for being here, having a good time. Let's see. John says, should I trade Diggs for Walker? Now, John, this is an interesting one. It depends on your team build, John. I'm just gonna say that starting off. So if you have strong running backs, strong wide receivers, I have these guys close enough in my rankings rest of season that I would feel comfortable going with what your weakest part of your team is and getting that to feel better. But sometimes you do want to hold on to the strongest part of your team. Personally, for me here, and let me just double check my rest of season rankings just to confirm. But yes, I will be going with Kenneth Walker. I want Kenneth Walker over Diggs. And I think the main reason I want Kenneth Walker over Diggs in my rest of season rankings is because I think Tank Dell continues to take more of a snapshot. I know this Diggs story's been great. I know we're probably waiting on some type of injury to Nico Collins or Tank Dell for Stephon Diggs to really emerge. And this week with no Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs should be a wide receiver 1. But I personally lean the Kenneth Walker side rest of season. Just true. Appreciate you. Fantasy Football Girl said, do you think Deontay Johnson will play? I didn't see any update on Deontay Johnson not playing. So I know he's got the injury. What? He misses Thursday practice with a groin injury. I guess there's a chance that he misses. I didn't see anything. I thought it was looking like everything that I was looking at said that he was going to play this week, Fantasy Football Girl. But clearly I might be wrong on that. So we might just have to look into that. Anthony said, just drop the sub. Don't see too many fantasy football lives. Well, Anthony, I appreciate you for tuning in, being here, and for dropping a sub, dude. We are trying to build the best fantasy football community from the ground up. I answer all of my comments with the start sit questions. If you guys send me hate my way, I don't answer those questions. We just move on. But if you do have questions here all season, I'm here for you. For lives, we do stream on Wednesday nights and Friday nights typically, and then if I'm available on Saturday nights, it depends on what my weekend schedule is, because I don't do this full time. I do this for the love of the game. Jackson said, thoughts on Mixon this week? That's a great question, Jackson. Think you're bringing up some valid parts. If he plays, I think you have to play him. But I am still a little bit worried about. We're over here like shaking. I don't know what's making this loud noise. But I think if you have better options, I would lean that way over Joe Mixon. If I'm being honest, Jackson. So it just kind of depends on how your team is and what type of other running backs you have. But like if you're talking like you were going to start Cam Akers and then Joe Mixon plays and you're like, who do I play? Like I would play Joe Mixon. But I'm not expecting any amazing fantasy football points. I just think he's definitely going to be like a middling RB2 this week. And then Mr. He sold me with reaction back to the well with Ayuk. Oh goodness. You know what the worst part is? You're going to come back to a video on Sunday night and you're going to be like, you sold me out. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to tell you. I hope, dude, I want you here all season. I appreciate you listening. Wishing you Brandon Ayuk this week. Say it right now. You'll be 2-2 when Tuesday morning. Say it right now. Give yourself some hype, Visit Arrow. So appreciate you being here. Thanks so much for the kind words. Casey said, rate my team: Joe Burrow, AR5, Breece Hall, Justin Jefferson. The fact that Breece pause. How the heck do you have Breece Hall, Justin Jefferson, Jahmyr Gibbs? Explain that to me. You must have made some massive trades. Jonathan Burke on the bench? Goodness gracious, this is an A. This is an A team. Casey, you just posted this to flex on all of us. I don't know if you're playing in a 2-man league, a 3-man league, a 4-man league, but incredible. I know it's not that. You probably did some trades and drafted super well, Casey. So shout out to you for just absolutely flexing on all of us. Viz De Niro said, my opponent's starting running backs are White and Swift. He already had Dak and Lamb go off. Dude, yeah, you need an upside, and I would go with Brandon Ayuk. Appreciate you, Viz De Niro. Great vibes. That's what we want here. We're trying to provide great vibes on the channel. Gabriel, appreciate you tuning in. You said, shout out to the sunglasses. What should I do? 10-man QB, Caleb and Richardson, Rashad White, CMC, Jerome Ford, Harris, Charbonnet, JSN, Adams, Debo, Cooper, tight ends, Ferguson, and Muth. So we are, from what it looks like, Gabriel, in a very rough spot in a 10-man league. Like, we don't have any running backs that we feel great about. We really don't have any wide receivers we feel great about. My question is how this draft went. We drafted CMC at the 1, and then we got Adams and Debo at the 2-3 turn. And, I mean, we have whiffed on a lot of positions. So, Gabriel, I'm trying to have positive attitude here. It's early in the season. It's only going to be week 4. Now, we can't rely on CMC. And you're not probably going to be able to trade CMC. So we're just going to have to figure out how we can, like, do we pair an Adams and JSN and roll with Cooper as our third wide receiver? Like, I think that's something that you're going to have to look into doing. I feel okay about your quarterbacks, assuming Anthony Richardson can kind of start to pick it up. But yeah, I would explore a JSN and Adams type trade to try to benefit your team. Because right now, like, rest of season rankings, I do have Adams down as my wide receiver 16. And that even feels a little high. But if you add JSN to that, can we get up into like a Marvin Harrison Jr., Nico Collins? I don't know if you're going to be able to, but hypothetically, that would be what I'm trying to do to try to turn this team around, Gabriel. So I know why you're here. I appreciate you. Ask me all the questions you want, all dude, because we're turning this team around. We are not having you miss the playoffs, bro. I'm telling you this now. I'm giving you my word. So, Gabriel, let me know all I can help you. Sorry to like roast you in the chat, but I know you're probably going through it. Frizzle said, Tank Bigsby is still on my waivers. Guess owner was fed up with him. Should I pick him up to stash or leave him there? Frizzle, you're in a deeper league, so I would pick up Tank Bigsby. 100%. Be growing stuff. Shout out to your little man. Don't know if he's, I say a little man. I can't tell. Girls can't play Little League football too, but I'm assuming it's your little man. Hope he's crushing it. You said Kansas City defense or Chicago D? Be growing stuff. I would be going with Kansas City defense. Appreciate you being here. Be growing stuff. Anthony Machine said, last heard Deontay Johnson was ruled out. Was he ruled out? I guess I was watching the Ohio State game. Let me look at my leagues. Anyone? Let me look. Is that official? Am I over here tripping? Because I saw he was questionable. Deontay Johnson questionable a day ago. I guess I hadn't seen an update. Anyone see an update on Deontay Johnson? Because I don't want to keep giving you guys questions on Deontay Johnson and then he's not playing. Which, if that's the case, then Deontay Johnson questions we'll be looking at other ways. Let me see. Yeah, I don't see anything. People are still asking about it, so I think he's still questionable. Anthony. A-Tag says, should I start Flowers or Reed? Start Jaden Reed. Burrow or Hurts? Ooh, this is an interesting one. I think we got to go Joe Burrow over Jalen Hurts, especially with the lack of receiving options. And Joe Burrow, honestly, low-key has been cooking. He has not been the reason the Bengals have been losing. I'll say that much. Starting Kelsey, what do you think about that? I think you got to start Kelsey. We keep throwing the same crap at the wall and hoping it bounce back and hoping things change. But the tight end landscape sucks right now, guys. We all know that. Nobody's doing good unless you own Brock Bowers. Rest of my team is Amon-Ra, Jonathan Taylor, Montgomery Brown. Oh, goodness, bro. Goodness, I-Tag. You'll be fine. Yeah, I would go Reed. I would go Burrow, and I'd start Kelsey, and I think you'll have a pretty good week 4, bro. Thanks so much. Miguel, hey, Caleb, night. Shout out. Good night, bro. Happy night. Miguel said, Roschon or Chase Brown this week? I will be going with Roschon Johnson over Chase Brown, Miguel. Appreciate you tuning in, guys. Absolutely love all the questions firing in my way. Oh, my goodness. Did I miss this? Solo. I'm over here just in my own world, missing super chat pop-ups pop up. You said J.K. Dobbins, Jordan Mason, Rashad White, Marvin Harrison Jr., Nico Collins, Dallas Goedert, Malik Neighbors, CMC, and Cooper Kupp on IR. 12-man league, position caps, 4 wide receivers and 3 running backs only. I think you've told me this. So you said, should I drop Rashad White for Buck Irving? So you're only allowed to have 3 running backs. And you got J.K. Dobbins and Jordan Mason. That actually low-key sucks. But in the case that that's the case, then I would say this. If Rachaad White plays solo, I don't know how much time you can wait on Bucky Irving, but I would wait until tomorrow. And if you miss out on Bucky Irving, it's not going to be the end of the world. But what I will say is I would just wait to see, because if Rachaad White's going to play, then I lean the Rachaad White side. But if Rachaad White's going to be out, then I lean the Bucky Irving side. So I know this is like pretty hesitant to. I don't know what time zone you're on. I don't want to make you wake up early to figure this out, but I would just kind of keep your eye to the sky on Twitter, X, to make sure what's happening with Rachaad White, and then I would go from there. Because personally, I still want Rachaad White, but I do think Bucky Irving has a ton of upside. So thanks so much, dude. Thanks for all the super chats, for all the love, bro. Absolutely appreciate you being here on the channel. And like I said, let me know if I need to answer that a little bit deeper. Chandra said, rate my team. Caleb, any trades? Yeah, I'll rate your team, and then I'll tell you any trades. So we got Stroud, Kyron Williams, Steele, JJ, Nico, Ayuk, McBride, the bench is Akers, just for this week. JMO, Jaden Reed, Worthy, Ertz, Brooks, Dell. Well, Chandra, rating this team, I think I would give this team a solid B+ to A-, which, let's be clear, guys, that's a great score. Like most fantasy football teams are B-, B. So the fact that this is right here makes me feel great about it. I love the fact that your bench, we got Jaden Reed, and we got Tank Dell, and we got Brooks. Like those three guys in of itself make me feel really great about it. And you got Jameson Williams. So I think the only things that I would do, Chandra, if we were to be making any moves, is I think you got some elite level guys at the top, but how can we get one or more of those guys? Like how can we hold JJ, Nico, Ayuk, and Stroud, and Kyron, and how can we get like a better RB2? So can I pair, I know that's probably going to be Brooks, but can I pair even like a Jameson Williams and then Brandon Ayuk to get a better player? Because I do want to hold Reed, I do want to hold Tank Dell, but I think if you paired JMO and Ayuk together, you could definitely go try to get someone a little bit better onto your squad. Giving you some ideas, because I'm over here just telling you, trade these two guys without giving you any actual like advice. Rest of the season, if I could trade those two guys and go get like a Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, or even like a Chris Olave, I would do it. Granted, like of course, if you can get like Marvin Harrison Jr., if someone's like not the highest on him, then that's cool too, but I don't think you're gonna be able to do that. So I would try Mike Evans or Chris Godwin for Brandon Ayuk and Jameson Williams and see if anyone will bite on that. And then I think that'll improve your team, Chandra. Appreciate you being here. Jackson said, Mixon would be in my flex, debating Zach Moss, Jaden Reed, McLaurin, or Mixon. Well, I'm higher than most people this week on Jaden Reed, but I will still be going with Zach Moss in the flex over Jaden Reed. But that's what I would do. Jackson, thanks so much for the help. Of course, bro. Of course. Glad you're here. John said, well explained. Thank you. My wide receiver department is Wilson, Neighbors. Shout out to you have Neighbors. Top 3 wide receiver there. Diggs, Waddle, Dell, and JSN. My running back depth is Barkley, Mixon, Steele, Allen. We love that, John. A lot of depth, a lot of upside pieces, a lot of studs. So, John, continue to rock out your team, bro. Taylor Sosa. Taylor, are you related to Sammy by any chance? Do you know who Sammy Sosa is? The electric home run hitter, legend in the MLB space? Let me know. Would you trade Steele for Ladd? 12-team full PPR, 2 flex positions? No, I'm holding Steele. I know I'm a little bit worried about Kareem Hunt coming in, taking over more of the snap share, but I would still personally be holding Steele over Ladd over these next few weeks. Anthony said, I just dropped Goff for Fields with Baker as my backup. Did I make a mistake? Rest of season rankings for me, I do have Jared Goff higher than Baker. So personally for me, I would, if you could flip that back, I don't know if you can do it now that you just did, or if you have like a time that you have to wait, but preferably if you can go drop Baker for Jared Goff, that's what I would do. It's not the end of the world. I have Jared Goff 2 spots higher than Baker rest of season, but I do prefer Baker. Georgia is winning now, bro. No way. You guys are tripping with me. There's no way that Georgia came back and they're winning. Is that true? Am I being punked? All I know is I turn off my, I say Alabama's like the number 1 team. No, what? It's 3rd and 2, 41-34. So they're not winning unless it's like, I'm missing. Did something happen? It's close though. It's close. Georgia's came firing back. That's crazy. Let's see. Goff is losing yards and touchdowns to Gibbs. Yeah, I mean, he is, but I think this passing attack with Sam Laporta kind of picks it back up here later on in the season. John said, considering you're leaned Walker, I'm currently trying to make that trade happen. Boom, John. Look at you. Making moves on a Saturday night, guys. Absolutely appreciate all the love we are getting here, guys. Thanks so much. If it's you guys' first time here on the stream, appreciate you. We are answering start sit questions all fantasy football year long. So absolutely means the world that you guys are tuning in here tonight. Fantasy Football Girl said, rate my team, please. Justin Fields, Marvin Harris Jr., Bijan, Nico Collins. Fantasy Football Girl, goodness gracious. Your husband has to be so jealous of this squad. Ferguson, Aubrey, and Singletary. Yeah, Singletary did solo. Justin Fields, I think the biggest question is probably that, like, your quarterback position. But I still feel confident Justin Fields rest of the season. But the fact that you have Bijan, Marvin Harrison Jr., Nico Collins, David Montgomery, I feel good about it. I give this team a B plus. I feel good about it. Maybe even a B. Fantasy Football Girl, which is not a bad grade. I know I give some teams like A's, but I also, like, I don't know, like, how many leagues they're in, all that good jazz. I think this is a great squad. I really do. And I think the part of the squad that you haven't gotten to see yet is if Bijan Robinson actually turns into who we think he's going to turn into. And the floor has been good, but I don't think we've even gotten close to the ceiling. And Marvin Harrison Jr., I think we've seen that upside, but him and Nico Collins and Bijan Robinson, that's going to be the whole squad of your team, plus David Montgomery. So yeah, thanks, Football Girl. I just appreciate you always tuning into the channel. SWA said Fields or Caleb this week. I will be going with Justin Fields, 100%. Visionary said Stroud, definitely over Darnold. Right, easily. Yeah, I have Stroud over Darnold. Visionary. Blizzard said Dynasty, sent Dobbins, JMO, BTJ for Marvin Harrison Jr. Yep, let's go, Blizzard. That's an easy dub here in the chat. Shout out to you. And then you have A-Chain, Kyron, ETN, Mixon, Connor, Brian Robinson, Wilson, Metcalf, Smith. How much more would you be willing to pay? He needs depth at running back. I would say this. If that's probably not going to get it done for, I guess I thought you made the deal. That's probably not going to get it done, honestly, for me. You're probably going to have to switch out BTJ. I'd be cool to switch out BTJ for, like, Devontae Smith there, because I do think I'd pay up pretty heavily for him. Fantasy Football Girl, I was about to ask. I haven't seen Timbo in the chat, so I was like, where's good old Timbo? You said he's out of town. Wanted me to ask full PPR, Pollard or Shakir. Shout out to Timbo for making his wife do his dirty work. So you let good old Timbo know we're here, helping out here over the next 2 weeks. So let me see where I have Pollard relative to Shakir. I will be going with Pollard over Shakir. My table is starting to shake, so I'm sorry, guys. I keep hearing this annoying noise, and I'm trying to figure out what it is. But that's what's happening. So yeah, shout out to Timbo. Tell him to go with Pollard. Trick said never. Miguel said Brent Strange or Zach Ertz. Miguel, I will be going with Zach Ertz this week. Ben, appreciate you tuning into the channel, dude. Like I said, guys, if this is your first time on the channel, I appreciate you guys all so much. A lot of exciting stuff happening once you guys here in the community all season. I'm answering all your questions, so I want you here. Keenan Allen, Christian Kirk, Tyler Lockett for flex position in half PPR. I'll be going with Keenan Allen. I think this Chicago Bears team continues to turn it around. Now, the question is it is really between Christian Kirk too. I think Christian Kirk's been struggling, in my personal opinion. So I do lean with Keenan Allen. But I think the other thing that we have to look out, he was upgraded to a full participant on Friday. Yeah. So I'm cool to roll out Keenan Allen this week. But Christian Kirk, last week had 11. So it is close. So if you lean one way or another, I would 100% do Christian Kirk or Keenan Allen, and I'm leaning Keenan Allen, Ben. So appreciate you tuning in. Smoothie Singing Kane said he's not ruled out. He should play. Thank you, Smoothie. Glad we were on the same plays with Deontay. Fantasy Football Girl said, I hope he plays. I hope he does too. Sam, appreciate you. Shout out to UCLA. I don't know if you go there or not, but that's a great profile picture, bro. If you're in college, post-college, glad to have you here in the community. You said Garrett Wilson or Zach Moss at flex? I'm assuming this is full PPR, Sam, when I answer this question for you. I think in my heart of hearts, I would love to tell you Zach Moss, but I do have Garrett Wilson ahead in my rankings in full PPR. I have Garrett Wilson as my wide receiver 12. I have RB19 for Zach Moss. Now, if it's half PPR or if it's standard, I would lean Zach Moss, but in full PPR, I will be going with Garrett Wilson. Appreciate you, Sam. Sean, like I said, guys, you guys are just having some fun, vibing, hanging out with me, so I appreciate all y'all. Sean said, I have Keenan, Adunze, Shakir, and Zach Moss. Who do I start at flex and who at wide receiver? You're starting Zach Moss and you're starting Khalil Shakir, Sean. That is who I'm starting if I am you. But I do like that you have the Keenan Allen, Odunze depth. That definitely helps your team. Call me Nim. Very similar to my last name, bro. Call me. You should like change it to like Call Me Nimi or something to be a part of the family. But you said, should I trade Nico and Tajay for Amon-Ra? Yeah, I do. I have him on higher than Nico, and I have Tajay kind of like as low-key trade bait or cut bait. So I would lean that way. And shout out to Anthony for the super chat. Shout out to the $5. You said 12-man, full PPR. You said Fields, Baker, Brees, Mason, Walker, Dowdle, Roshan with Brooks in IR, Nico, Shakir, Johnston, Pittman with Pearsall in IR, Laporta, Kincaid. Thoughts? I think we feel great. Like you said, I know you dropped I'm cool with Baker. I'm cool with Fields. You got Brees and Mason. We like Walker. So we got 3 legit running backs for at least the next 3 weeks. And we got Roshan with Brooks on IR. We got some great stashes. Love to see it. The biggest worry for me with this team, Anthony, is going to be your wide receiver position, because we do like Nico. We have him as a top 8 wide receiver, but then we're going between Pittman, Shakir, Johnston. We don't love it. Pearsall's in IR. You got Laporta and Kincaid. So you got 2 top 5 tight ends rest of the season. Honestly, for me, Anthony, with how bad the tight end position has been, I would be looking to trade away, assuming that this isn't like a tight end premium where there's like 2 points per reception for tight end. I'd be looking to trade away Laporta or Kincaid. I do not care which one. Whichever one will afford me to get a better wide receiver, that's what I'm looking to do. Can I trade a Dalton Kincaid or Sam Laporta for like a Tyreek Hill, a JSN, like one of those type of players? I think that's going to help your wide receiver spot a lot more. And then you're not going to have those start-sit decisions on the tight end spot. Now, the tight ends have been super devalued right now, so I understand the harm that it's going to take to do that. But yeah, I would be trading away Laporta or Kincaid, depending on which one you can get more away from. Anthony, appreciate the super chat, dude. Thanks so much for supporting the channel. I like your running backs, though, and I think that will definitely carry your team going forward. And if you have that many running backs, I'm assuming it's probably not full PPR, but I could be wrong. Let's get back down to the questions. Like I said, guys, you've been absolutely great tonight. Shout out to Sam. Shout out to Call Me. Jackson said, 10-man, looking for potential trades for a true wide receiver 1. Yeah. Send that whole team in. Jared H said, do you think Olave will play? I'm in a tough spot for my 3 flex spots between Olave, Kenneth Walker, Deontay, Addison, DK. Yeah, so I would say this. If assuming Olave plays, you're playing Olave, you're playing Deontay, and you're playing DK. But assuming that Olave doesn't, I would just sub in Kenneth Walker, assuming Kenneth Walker plays. And then if Kenneth Walker, which I guess Kenneth Walker is looking and projected to play, but if Kenneth Walker for some reason is out, then you're cool to go with Deontay, Addison, DK. But I would go Deontay, DK, Olave, and then sub in Kenneth Walker, Jared, if you do need. Like I said, guys, always appreciate all the love. Gabriel said, appreciate it. I'm working on a trade for Garrett Wilson. I'm giving away DJ. Yeah, huge. He also has K9 and mix in any device for a pack trade. So what, you're giving away, you're trading Garrett Wilson and you're trading away DJ, which that's a dub. If you can get that done, which DJ Moore or Deontay Johnson. Yeah, that's huge. He also has I mean, if you can add either of those guys, I don't care which running back, whichever one's going to be cheaper, and you add in like a Jerome Ford and even Amari Cooper to get the deal done, that makes me feel good and better about your team. So those would be some ideas there. Gabriel, appreciate you tuning in. Need flex help, 13th Apex, appreciate you. Need flex, Sharp, Spears, or Cordell Patterson, thanks. We also are in the mud. Shout out to you, 13th Apex, for needing a flex. Personally, I would be going with Sharp here, no matter if Kenneth Walker is playing or not. But that's who I lean. 13th Apex, appreciate you so much for being here. Fantasy Football Girl said, rate second team, please. Dak, CD, Kenneth Walker, Deontay Johnson, Kyrie Williams, Jennings, Bowers, kicker, Dicker, the kicker, and then the defense. Dak, CD, Kenneth Walker, Deontay Johnson, Kyrie Williams. Yeah, this one for sure, Bowers. I give this one a B plus. It's definitely better for sure with Kyron and Kenneth, and then CD Lamb and Deontay. Well, that's just how a lot of it's fallen that way, Fantasy Football Girl. So I give it a B plus. But like I said, like B's, like if you're a terrible team, we're talking C's. If you're like the most amazing team I've ever seen, it's usually like an A minus. No one usually gets an A plus here, Fantasy Football Girl, just so you know. Michael B, you said DJ Moore, Juwan Jennings, Jaden Reed, Tutu are my 4 wide receivers. I can start 2. Who should I choose? This week, Michael, I would go with DJ Moore and Jaden Reed. That's who I would go with this week. But I will say it's close between Jaden Reed and Juwan Jennings for sure. Roan, appreciate you being here. You said Dalton Schultz or Zach Ertz this week. Let me pull up my tight end rankings. I answered this exact question earlier, Roan, so I should remember it, but I don't. We've been firing away so many questions. I will go with Dalton Schultz over Zach Ertz, dude. Thanks so much for tuning in. Theo said Jacoby Myers and DJ Moore or Jaden Reed and Deontay Johnson in Dynasty. Give me, Theo, I lean the Jaden Reed and Deontay Johnson side. Now, I know you're a contender, but for me, I know DJ Moore has a contract in Dynasty, and that's a huge part too, but I think Deontay Johnson is going to continue to prove people wrong, and I like Jaden Reed's overall upside. And I think Jaden Reed, if he had Jordan Love for these first 3 games, we could be talking about him as a top 10, top 12 Dynasty wide receiver, just based on the metrics and based on him having Jordan Love. Similar to the ascension that Rashee Rice has taken, I think Jaden Reed could 100% be on that same trajectory. But since that hasn't happened, he's a little bit priced more affordably. So give me the Jaden Reed and Deontay Johnson side, Theo. Frizzle said Jamal Williams or Tank Bigsby for rest of the season till otherwise. Give me Tank Bigsby, Frizz. That's who I go with. Matt Wingo said sitting at 0-3. That's okay. That's okay. You'll bounce back. With Mason and CMC, wide receivers are London, Jennings, Worthy, and Deontay. What's the lowest range wide receiver you would take for CMC? We've been in this very similar. Wow, I figured out what was shaking. Cool. Glad we got that out of the way. Just took about 2 hours. For CMC rest of the season, yeah, guys, I've been holding CMC a lot because I just feel like you're not going to be able to get appropriate level value. Because like what? Could you trade him for like DK Metcalf, Devontae Adams, Drake London? I don't think those players would get it. I think it's probably going to be like a Brandon Ayuk or DJ Moore, and then I wouldn't do it. So I would say like DK Metcalf, Devontae Adams to kind of get it done. But if you can't get one of those 2 guys, then I'm cool holding. Matt, appreciate you. We got, I scrolled way too far up by accident over here. Let me go back. Like I said, guys, we're catching up on questions. We got Matt. Where are we at? Why am I? Yep, here we go. Jackson said quarterback Jordan Love, Breece Hall, Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon, Zach Moss, Garrett Wilson, Chris Godwin, Amari Cooper, Jaden Reed, and tight end Kyle Pitts. What was your question, Jackson? Did you have a question, or did I miss it? Did I miss it? Like I said, we're catching up on all these questions, guys. So thanks so much for your patience. I'm gonna just rate your team because I assume that's what you mean. If we got Jordan Love, we got Breece Hall, we got Derrick Henry. We like the running backs. Garrett Wilson, Chris Godwin. We like Chris Godwin. That's definitely holding it together with Kyle Pitts. I definitely give this like a B+. I think I'm worried about the overall upside at the wide receiver since we don't have like a top 6 wide receiver, but we do have Chris Godwin, who's a top 10 wide receiver for me. We got Breece Hall, who, like we said, this running back room is absolutely stacked. Can Jordan Love come back, be healthy, really boost up Jaden Reed? Maybe Jaden Reed helps turn into one of these top 3 wide receivers for you. Give this a B+, Jackson. Like this team for you a whole lot. Roan said Ramondre or Akers if Mixon's out. I would go with Ramondre, Roan. Appreciate you. Yep, Georgia comeback. What's the score right now? We got what happened? 41-34? I mean, they came back, but Alabama still won. Bama scored a 1 and done 25 touchdown. Bama. Yeah, shout out to Bama. Casey said Georgia ain't winning. It's close though. We love the people in the chat. Shout out to Viz. Thanks so much for the Flames. Andrea said, hey Caleb, need a wide receiver 2 and a flex PPR. Akers, Jennings, Addison, Mooney, and Bucky. Wide receiver 2, we will be going with Jennings, and then a flex PPR. Assuming there's no Joe Mixon, I would go with Akers. But if there is a Joe Mixon tomorrow, I will say this. You lean with Akers or Bucky if one of the starters is out. If either of the starters are playing, then I do lean with Jordan Addison. I think what we've seen from Jalen Naylor, Jordan Addison's going to step right into that role and absolutely demolish. So I lean with Jordan Addison if Bucky or Akers are not actually starting. Like I said, guys, appreciate everyone for tuning in. Trick said, full PPR, do I start Jacoby Myers, George Pickens, Waddle, Ridley, or Juju? No one's asked me, Tricks, about Juju Smith-Schuster this week, but I would be going with Jacoby Myers. Not only no Devontae Adams, I think this is a week for Jacoby Myers. Frizzle says, I don't have a backup QB. I have Murray for bye week. I'm planning on streaming quarterback right now. It's just Fields and Andy left on the waiver. Should I pick up Fields? I would have to drop my tight end too, likely. Yeah. I think at this point to hold on to Isaiah Likely, we saw amazing stuff in that week 1 game. I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to just continue to wrap around the tight end spot. So personally, I want Justin, especially in a deeper league, I want to make sure I have a QB2. So give me Justin Fields, and then we can kind of play the tight end waiver wire if we need to, Frizzle. A Tag said, which defense should, right now I have the Packers defense available to pick up Raiders, Browns, Falcons, Cardinals, Rams, Lions, Colts, Patriots, Broncos. Yeah, let's pull up some defensive rankings. We getting in the mud. A-Tag, I've been pretty bad at the defense of Pickens as of late, so, I appreciate you coming back to the well. Personally, for me, I would go, there's a lot of defenses here available. I would go with the Cleveland Browns. Which defense? Right now you have the Packers. Yeah, I'd go with the Cleveland Browns over the Packers defense. I have them about a 6-spot difference. But that's also me saying that and having been wrong on a lot of defenses here recently. Theo says, rate my team 12 by 11. Thanks for that information. Lamar, Kyler. And then we got, pause. Okay, Deebo Samuel, breaking news. Deebo Samuel is playing. So if I told you to play Jawan Jennings, do not play Jawan Jennings. Play whichever other player I told you. Attention, breaking news. Do not play Jawan Jennings if you have him and you have a better option. I mean, he's cool as a wide receiver 3 if we're super deep, but Deebo looks like he's preparing to play tomorrow. So having to update my rosters here after this too. But back to Theo's question. Rate my team. We got Lamar, Kyler, Bijan, Brees, CD, Nico, London, Ayuk, Moore, Cooper, Kittle, Brian Robinson, Deshaun Watson, Dobbins, Chris Watson, Leggett, Muth. So I love the fact that we like Lamar and Kyler. I don't know if this is Dynasty, Theo. I'm going to rate it like it's not, but I assume it is. And then the fact that it is Dynasty because of all these players. Then you got the 2 top running backs. Then you got a wide receiver 2. You got a wide receiver 8, wide receiver 10 in Dynasty. Goodness gracious. Deshaun Watson on the bench with Dobbins. Yeah, this is in Dynasty, man, this is this is easily an A plus, bro. Theo, you're crushing, bro. Thanks for letting me know that my elite level Dynasty teams are not as good as you. AJ, appreciate you being here. You said Hurts versus Mayfield with Philly wide receivers banged up. Listen, I have been off of Jalen Hurts this week, but I do have Jalen Hurts even with I have Jalen Hurts down as my QB7. AJ, just so you know, and then I have Baker Mayfield hovering right around my QB14. So I would personally go with Jalen Hurts, even with the lack of weapons, because I do think he has that rushing upside. A-Tag said, do you think Alvin Kamara is going to play? I wish I was a doctor. I wish I had some sort of inkling. I know he's questionable. Against the hip, I do assume he plays. I know he's been limited. And so typically if you're limited on Friday, you typically don't play. But I've been hearing reports that he probably is going to be in the market to play. So I would say potential. I would say potentially that he is going to play. Sean said, if Bucky plays and White is out, do I start him over Moss at flex? No, I'm still starting Moss. I do think Bucky's an interesting play this week, especially in your later flex range. If you're talking Jordan Addison, Christian Kirk versus Bucky, I think those would be the conversations I'd be having around Bucky Irving. But personally, I would go with, I'd still start Zach Moss over him. PRF, should I drop Rome Odunze for Calvin Ridley? No, PRF, I'm holding some Rome Odunze. Jaime said, Bama wins, down goes Georgia. Anthony says, I actually picked up Mason after the draft and before week 1. I got Laporta from a trade. Anthony, huge dubs to you, bro. Huge dubs to you. Thanks so much, dude, for all the super chats, bro. It's been absolutely incredible. Jaime said, Kirby can't even beat Bama without saving. I mean, now in the new playoff, with having 12 elite teams, you can lose to Bama and still make the championship. So I understand it changes things up a little bit, makes the dynamic a little different, but it'll be interesting to see. Because Carson Beck, clearly led the team back, but he didn't start off too hot. Anthony said, gave them Higgins, Moss, Chubb, Hawkinson for Laporta. You got the best tight end, but I do feel like the Higgins and Moss part might come back to bite you on that, Anthony. And then you said, knowing I wanted to use one of the other tight ends to trade the second, I got Laporta. I got you. Oh, yeah, because you did have two. I remember now. Yeah. I like that trade better now that we walked back through your team in my head. Jared says, do you have any options or subscription deals to go over teams more in depth? Jared, currently not at this moment, but that is something that we are exploring as a community channel. We'll probably do some sort of community next year, but I'm trying to provide all the best value that I can, content for free. So like I said, I know I can't dive super deep into the teams, so but I will definitely be having something for you guys probably looking into next year. But if you guys come now, we're at the bottom. We're building everything from the ground up. So I'm just trying to create the community first. I think that's the most important part, not the money. Anthony says, knowing I want to use, cool. Andrew says, Mondre or Mike Mike Wilson. I have Kyler for the stack. Gesicki or Frymuth. I would go with Mondre, and then I will be going with Gesicki in my personal rankings. Andrew, thanks so much for tuning in. Interception to win the game. Like I said, I was watching the Ohio State game. I was not watching the Alabama-Georgia game, but interesting to see good old Georgia go down. Jack says, is DT trying to hold out till he gets traded? I don't know. I think there is definitely some chance that he's trying to get out. I don't know if they're going to honor that. So he probably did have something happen to his hamstring, and he's just deciding to kind of wait that out over the next week to see what happens. But yeah, I think it's not ideal. This whole season has not been ideal for Devontae Adams one bit at all. The Saints said full PPR. I need to set my lineup tonight. I won't have access tomorrow to make changes after tonight. Pick 3: Olave, Debo, Mooney, Amon-Ra. Goodness, you set my line tonight. You won't have access tomorrow. The Saint. Oh goodness, bro. I mean, I lean Olave, Debo, and Amon-Ra, but there's the issue of like Olave's injury. I say you risk it. I say you do Olave, Debo, and Amon-Ra, and if somehow you miss the game tomorrow, I don't know if you're sleeping or what time zone you're on, but personally, I go with Olave, Debo, and Amon-Ra with the news on Amon-Ra. Sean 17 said, "Are you worried about Jonathan Taylor this week? What running backs would you play over him?" I'm not super worried about Jonathan Taylor this week. I do have Jonathan Taylor down as my RB8, so it's not like he's super high. But I mean, last week had 26 fantasy points, so I know it's a bad matchup versus the Pittsburgh Steelers in that front seven. So I would play, if you're giving me names that I would play over him, like James Conner, Kyron Williams, Jordan Mason, Alvin Kamara, Bijan Robinson, Breece Hall, Saquon Barkley. Those would be the only guys that I would play over Jonathan Taylor. You're probably stuck playing him because he's absolutely Dicker, the kicker, or the man that's all about the base. I'm also not good at picking kickers. That's been clear. I think I will be going with Tyler Bass this week over Dicker, the kicker. A-Tag said, drop Andrews. I have Kelsey. A-Tag, that depends on who's on your waiver wire and if you've explored trying to trade him to each and every team. Because there's probably someone out there that's like me that says, hey, we might give you a little bit of something for Mark Andrews because I think he's going to turn it around. So it kind of depends on your league size, depends on who's out there on waivers. But I do think he's definitely, if you have Kelsey, you don't want 2 underperforming tight ends on your team. We can definitely kind of try to spread that out. Give me a couple buy low wide receiver in our RBs you like. Jack, don't know if you tuned into my buy low video that we talked about earlier this week. I still think Garrett Wilson's a great buy. I don't know if you're buying him low by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think he is an interesting one. I still like buying some Amari Cooper. I think they're going to have to continue to throw the ball. I like buying some Jaden Reed. Those would be some guys that I would be trying to buy, at least in the running back realm, in the wide receiver realm. In regards to like running backs, I do like Tony Pollard a lot. I do like Ramondre Stevenson a lot. I don't know if you can buy anyone else low. I think buying low is always a hard. That's why I've actually changed my titles to like buys, because I do think there's a lot of buys where you're paying appropriate level values for said players, and that's 100% worthy of everything. Authority Zero said QB rough spot, Caleb Williams or Sam Darnold. I do have the DJ Moore stack, 0.5 PPR. You are in a rough spot. I think we go with Caleb Williams here. I do have Caleb Williams 2 spots below, but I think if you do have that stack, it makes me feel a little bit better for you, Authority Zero. So thanks so much for tuning in, bro. But I would go with Caleb Williams here. Mr. Trace said half point PPR, pick 2, Josh Jacobs, Zach Moss, Akers, or Ken Walker plays. Mr. Trace, I will be going with Josh Jacobs and Zach Moss. 100%, dude. 100%. Rowan said, with Debo expecting to play, do I start him or Brian Thomas Jr.? Rowan, you will be going with Debo Samuel. Debo Samuel gets boosted up my rankings. I need to double check. We need to double check, if he's going to be on a snap count, if there's any type of those type of reports that came out. Like I said, I just saw it come through on my phone notification, so I haven't been able to dive super deep into it, but I would still go with Debo Samuel over Brian Thomas Jr. A-Tag said, by the way, thanks for all the help, man. We'll donate in the future. At the moment, I can't. Dude, we answer all questions. We do not require donations to the channel. So that is totally fine. But shout out to the Fantasy Football Girl. She donated $10. My phone died. Thanks for the good advice. All the time, guys. All the time. Like I said, I want you guys here in the community, no matter if you have donations to give or not, because we do this for the love of the game. And I hope you guys love the game. And if you guys love the game, it makes me love the game and we're having a good time. So A-Tag, just appreciate you being here. The best thing you can do to support the channel, honestly, is going to be liking. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Like all the videos, leave comments. That's the best way to help engage with the channel. So Trick said, it's worth starting with A.J. Brown and Smitty out. Tricks, I still have Jalen Hurts as a top 7 QB this week. So most likely, unless you have an absolute stud that you're comparing him against, like Jaden Daniels, I would start Jaden Daniels over Jalen Hurts. But other than the top 5 guys, no. C-Dog, appreciate you being here. He said Zach Moss or Ford. C-Dog, I will be going with Zach Moss, my dude. Thanks so much for tuning in. Joe, you said flex 1 PPR Jennings, Myers, or Michael Wilson. Especially now with the Debo Samuel news, I will be going with Jacoby Myers. I haven't adjusted my rankings fully yet, Joe, but I would be going with Jacoby Myers. Appreciate you. 13th Apex said, who's better hold, Keon Coleman or Caleb Williams? It depends. It depends. If you're in a league where there's going to be plenty of waiver wire quarterbacks, guys like, Aaron Rodgers, Andy Dalton, Derek Carr, Trevor Lawrence, I'm cool to kind of hold Keon Coleman, especially after seeing him score that touchdown last week. But it depends on who your main quarterback is. 13th Apex, but of course, bro. Trick said Titans, Chiefs, or Bills defense. Tricks, I will be going with the Chiefs defense this week. We got, let me make sure. Just every time I just double check something, it makes me scroll all the way down. Michael said, I have Akers, assuming mix and plays. Do I go with Matson or Roshan? Personally, I'm going with Roshan over Matson, but Matson has been getting a lot more work. So it's close between Matson and Roshan. I would go with Roshan, but if of course Mixon's not going to go, then you want to play Akers. Great Scott. I love it with the Back to the Future logo. This is awesome. Couple questions in advance. Yeah, of course, bro. Thanks for tuning in. You said full PPR trade Chuba Hubbard for Pollard. 100%. I think Jonathan Brooks is going to come back. I think someone's probably banking on the fact that, hey, Chuba's going to remain the starter with Jonathan Brooks. I don't want to risk it. Give me Tony Pollard, who's getting the snap share. I know the offense is not looking great, but I do want Tony Pollard there. Great Scott. So give me Tony Pollard. And then you said full PPR, who should I start? Higgins, Olave, Debo, Kenneth Walker, Chuba Hubbard. I'm assuming, I wish I knew how many you had to start. So we're going to assume we're talking two wide receivers and 2 running backs. I would go with Olave and Debo and then Kenneth Walker and Chuba. But if it's something like you need 4, I don't know. Great Scott. So I'm trying to answer this question the best of my ability, but I think I would go Olave and Debo and then Kenneth Walker and Chuba. But if I had to rank it out for you, dude, I would have Chuba, Olave, Debo, but how I would have it ranked out, and then Kenneth Walker and then T. Higgins. And then Michael said, perfect, bro. Perfect, bro. Glad you could be here. Jackie said, I don't know what happened to Cowboys defense, man. Yeah, I think they didn't pay people to play, and Jerry Jones just assumed that Michael Parsons was going to be able to kind of carry the team. Great Scott said, different league, full PPR. Trade Rice, Kyron, and Jigba for Gibbs, Godwin, and Amari Cooper. Personally here, Great Scott, I will be holding the Rice, Kyron, and Njigba side. Appreciate you tuning in. Frizzle said, how did you find out about Debo? I just saw it come through on my phone. From Adam Schefter that Debo's planning on playing. Jack said, start at flex, Mooney, Michael Wilson, or McConkey. Ooh. This one's a deep one, Jack. So let me see. I got Mooney ahead of, where do I have Ladd? That's going to be the real question here. I would go with Ladd McConkey here, Jack. Thanks for tuning in. Eber said, hey, Caleb, with a bunch of injury options, are Trey Tucker and Michael Wilson? Michael Wilson, for sure, Eber. Appreciate you tuning in. Go with Michael Wilson. Jackie said, Waddle or Judy over Jennings? Ooh. Now we're gonna have a bunch of I need to replace my Jennings shares, and I completely understand. I'm gonna go with Jalen Waddle. I'm gonna risk it for the biscuit. Jerry Judy, I have 5 spots below Jalen Waddle currently, so just bumping down Jawan Jennings in my rankings, I would go with Waddle. Back to the Chuba League, you have a really stacked team, but Hurts is on a bye next week. Can I drop Coleman safely with a stacked team? Yeah, you can drop Coleman. I'm cool with that. And then you said, should I try to sell Kyron high in general? Who should I aim for to get a return? If we're looking at rest of season, if you're trying to trade away Kyron, can you go get Josh Jacobs? Can you get Marvin Harrison Jr.? Can you go get Nico Collins? That's kind of who I would trade for. Great, Scott. That helps. Of course, bro. Of course, bro. Thanks so much for tuning in. Alejandro said, need to start 2 running backs. Kamara, J.K. Dobbins, Carson Steele, Jerome Ford, and 1 flex. You also have Ayuk and McLaurin. Need to start running backs. Yeah, so I'm starting Kamara and J.K. Dobbins, and then you need 1 flex. I would go Alejandro. This is me saying this as a guy that is here. You guys are watching. You're tuning in, asking some start skip questions, but I'm rolling the dice on Brandon Ayuk again. I don't know. I just got a feeling. Jawan Jennings, the Debo's going to hurt Jawan Jennings. He's not going to hurt Brandon Ayuk. So give me Brandon Ayuk in PPR. So I would go with Kamara, J.K. Dobbins, and Ayuk. Trick said Georgia had the lead for 1 play. Ryan Williams, 75-yard touchdown, unexplained. He's insanely talented. Well, Tricks, Ryan Williams is the second best wide receiver second best freshman wide receiver, but give it to my boy Jeremiah Smith here. Dude, if you're in Dynasty, start trading for those 2027 picks right now. Ryan Williams, Jeremiah Smith, the future is bright. We got Pierce. You said trade Lamar plus London for Marvin Harrison Jr. plus CJ Stroud. Easy. Go get the CJ Stroud and Marvin Harrison Jr. You still have Jalen Hurts? Oh. Yeah. I want the better wide receiver here. So give me the Marvin Harrison Jr. If you have that. So appreciate you, Pierce. We got VVSZ. What's up, Caleb? Start Ayuk or Najee, full PPR. I have Brandon Ayuk higher this week, guys, and maybe I'll get burned. Like last week, I told a lot of people not to start Jawan Jennings. Jawan Jennings pops off. Maybe I tell everyone to start Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk's going to suck again. But I still have a Brandon Ayuk higher in full PPR than Najee this week, VVS, and I'm going to go with my rankings. Fantasy Ball Girl, of course, appreciate that super chat again. Then PRF said, W stream, good night. Definitely stole that username. LOL. A lot of great stuff. Great Scott said, picked up and play Chicago, Houston, Tennessee, or Miami defense this week. I would go with Miami defense this week. Should I drop Chiefs defense in another league for any of those options? No, I'm keeping Chiefs defense over all those options, but I would go with the Miami defense this week. Anthony said, I have someone willing to take Laporta, but he wants Brees too. He's willing to give me CMC and Garrett Wilson not if you're having to give up Brees. Not for CMC and Garrett Wilson. Anthony, hold on to Brees and Laporta then. There, my guy. Pierce said, Anthony, CMC needs surgery. Don't do that. And if he's healthy, that's a bad deal. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Chandra said, I didn't realize Debo might play. Do I flex Ayuk or Jaden Reed if Debo plays? If Debo plays, I still have Ayuk high. So that's not going to change my rankings that much, but I do think I like that you have Jaden Reed on your team, Chandra, because that's going to be exciting going into the rest of the season. So I still go with Brandon Ayuk, but Chandra, you might need to Andrew's streaming tomorrow. So if you want to go double check that with Andrew, go check that out with Andrew, and let him know that I'm the better fantasy football creator. Give him a hard time for me. Tay said, hey man, Josh Jacobs or Najee Harris? Tay, I would be going with Josh Jacobs tomorrow. Thanks, of course, for being here, Tay. Rowan said, thanks for all the help. Yeah, guys, this is I'm having a blast here tonight. You guys are absolutely vibing out here in the stream. Stream's doing super well, so I just appreciate all you guys for all the love. Like I said, if you haven't hit the like button, it helps me out so much. Best free way to support the channel. Pierce said, seems he needs surgery. I know he went to Germany for treatment. Yeah, I don't know if he's going to get surgery. I think they're just hoping to heal up that Achilles to the best that they can here over the next few days. Pierce said, that's what Herbert got. Yeah, it's just a bad injury. I don't want any part of CMC, and I have him on a lot of rosters. Great Scott said, start one for that question. My team is stacked. Oh, start one. Great Scott. I forget what question I forget what it was. Should I try to sell? No. Can I drop? Cool. I forget which question it was. Oh, no, you asked so many questions. Oh, who should I start? Oh, no, start the one. I would start Chris Olave in that start one. Great Scott. But it's between Chris Olave and Chuba Hubbard. So 100%. We got Alejandro said, you have Jaden Daniels as QB. It is 1 point each 15 yards into the 8-man league. So there's a lot of solid QB still available like Baker and Goff. Is there names you would consider to start over him? No, Alejandro, Jaden Daniels is a top 3 QB this week for me. So rock and roll with some Jaden Daniels. Snoopy, appreciate you being here. What should I do with Evan Ingram? I have Gesicki, so I'm thinking about trading him. If you can trade him, I mean, sure. I mean, this injury really killed Evan Ingram's overall progress this season. So I guess it depends on what you can do with Evan Ingram. I still have him as a top 11 tight end rest of the season, which doesn't mean anything because the tight end landscape's been absolutely crap. But if you can trade him away, Snoopy, be my guest. See what you can get. Because honestly, if you get more than like waiver wire things, then I'm totally down for it, depending on league size. And then Great Scott said, my lineup: Hurts, Chase, Olave, Debo, Godwin, Higgins, Gibbs, Kamara, Kenneth Walker, Terry McLaurin, Mark Andrews, Chuba Hubbard. Yeah. Great Scott. You got a great lineup, bro. Hoping you win a few games this weekend, bro. Good luck, bro. Soul Shiesty, good to see you, bro. You said, my ankle hurts. I'm happy I got Debo in my lineup versus my youth minister. Your ankle hurts. What happened to your ankle? But I'm glad you got Debo. Now we can roll him out in our leagues. I'm excited because I got him in a few leagues and I'm excited to roll out. Alejandro, of course, bro. Thanks for being here. Matt Wingo said, what wide receiver range would you trade Aaron Jones for in non-PPR? Thanks for clarifying the non-PPR. Of course, Aaron Jones is going to get a bump in non-PPR. Chris Olave would be a guy. DK Metcalf. Those would be the kind of wide receivers that I would be that I'd be trying to trade for on your stream, Matt Wingo. Trick said, they said Debo is playing. Yep, he is. And then Chandra said, I'll definitely let Andrew know you're the best on you. Give it to him. Let him know. Just, I need you to comment that. And then Chandra, honestly, you need my email, my business email is on my thing. So you need to send a screenshot of the reaction or tell me when you do it so I can go back and watch the stream for him. Brandon said, dude, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you being here. If this is your first time, guys, like I said, I appreciate it. We're answering all start sit questions all season, helping you guys win a fantasy football championship. So means the absolute world that you guys are all here. You said, hey man, flex question, Braylon Allen, Keon Coleman, or Waddle 0.5 PPR this week. Thank you, Brandon. We are in the mud. Again, another in the mud question. When I lean this way, let me just say this. I know it's 0.5 PPR, but it's the mix of, okay, who's going to give me actual points and who has upside? Because arguably Jalen Waddle, if Jalen Waddle catches a 50-yard bomb, of course it's going to be Jalen Waddle, but he's got Tyler Huntley throwing in the ball. But I still think I lean Jalen Waddle here with the upside. I don't feel great about it. So if you need 6 to 8 points, I lean Braylon Allen. But if you need upside, I lean Jalen Waddle. So personally, I would probably go Jalen Waddle and just swing for the fences. But let me know kind of what you're thinking there. I would go Jalen Waddle if I were you, though. Snoopy said, T. Higgins or Jaden Reed rest of season, full PPR. Jaden Reed, Snoopy. That's who I want. KP, appreciate you being here. You said pick one PPR between Zamir White, Pop. Is that Pop Douglas? Is that our boy Pop making an appearance? And Christian Kirk. I would be going with Christian Kirk in my rankings, but I love that you have some Pop Douglas. Honestly, KP, Zamir White is probably, after this week, going to be trade bait for you. The Saint said, who is better late season bench stash? Pick two. Quorum, Vidal, Trey Benson, estimate no available IR spot, full PPR. If I had to pick two, Trey Benson for sure, and then Quorum for me. Which I know a lot of people, I put in my stash video today, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, Caleb, Quorum's the RB3 behind Rivers. I understand there's worry about that because Rivers has been coming in ahead of Blake Corum, but I think if something were to happen to Kyron, we'd be looking at Blake Corum having a significant upside. So give me Trey Benson and Blake Corum. Trick said, my Javonte stock. Well, I love you, Tricks. You're always hyping up some Javonte and wanting the best for him. Soul Shiesty said, roll tide. Roll tide, baby. Roll tide. But not roll tide. OH. I heard someone say IO. I love it. Geno Smith or Anthony Richardson? I would be going with Geno Smith this week. And Chugan, I'm glad that you have Anthony Richardson, but I would be going with Geno Smith. Appreciate you. Brandon, like I said, bro, thank you so much for subbing, for asking questions. Appreciate all the interactions, guys. Like I said, we're trying to become the best fantasy football community from the ground up, and we're growing like crazy. So I just want you guys to continue enjoying the content. Always going to be here to answer your guys' questions. So pump for it. Soul Shiesty said, is Amari Cooper a must start? I wouldn't say a must start if you have, if you got CeeDee Lamb, I guess CeeDee Lamb already played. If you have Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, of course, he's not a must start. I do him as a top 30 wide receiver, though, so you're most likely starting Amari Cooper this week. John said, someone just dropped Javonte Williams. Would you drop P. Ryan for him? Give me Javonte Williams over P. Ryan, John. That's what I would do. Matt said, thanks for the crucial Debo news. Dropping Jennings, starting Worthy. Ooh, that's juicy. Dropping the dude that just dropped 40 points, all because of some news. Ooh, Matt. I don't know. I do want Worthy rest of the season over Jennings. So, I don't think that's crazy, but I think the fact that we just saw Juwan Jennings drop insane amount of points, Matt, I love the big ball play from you. I'll say that. You got some guts, my friend. Oliver, appreciate you being here. Is that what stadium is that? Is that Braves? You a Braves fan down in that down in the Georgia area? Hopefully the hurricane ain't hitting you too hard. You said, would you start Ayuk, Pickens, or Shaheed this week? Thanks, Oliver. I would be going with Brandon Ayuk. I have Brandon Ayuk higher up in my rankings. The part that I do want to hit on with Brandon Ayuk is he's let us down the last 3 weeks, but I do have Ayuk higher than Pickens and Shaheed. If Brandon Ayuk lets me down again, I don't know. I think we're gonna have some serious discussions that we need to have. We got Enchuga said, yeah, we will go with Geno Smith. That one, Marshall, you said, got to choose 3 out of Shakir, Olave, Debo, Amari Cooper, and Garrett Wilson. It's going to be pretty simple for me, that one, Marshall. We will be going with Olave, Debo, and Garrett Wilson, bro. Thanks so much for tuning in, but glad that you got some wide receiver depth. Sold Shiesty said, should I start Jalen Hurts versus Tampa? I think you're going to have to, unless you have better options. I have Jalen Hurts still as a top 7 QB this week, so I do like the rushing upside. But yes, not having A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith is going to be a little bit difficult. Snoopy said, I got to go to sleep. Thanks for the advice. Appreciate you, Snoopy. I need to go to bed here soon. I'm waking up at 7 in the morning, so we'll be going to bed here soon as well. So Inceptor said 10 team, 1 PPR, 1 QB, 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, 2 flex, team Patrick Mahomes, Breece Hall, Tony Pollard, Rashee Rice, D-Hop, Tyler Lockett, Jake Ferguson, Kenneth Walker, Waddle, Josh Downs, Emmanuel Wilson, Braylon Allen. Yeah, I like your team. I think Patrick Mahomes, we definitely need to start to see him step up. I know a lot of people were upset about the way that I had him still ranked as a top 4 quarterback in my rest of season rankings. That's fine. You got Breece Hall, RB1 right now. You got Rashee Rice, top 5 wide receiver. The part for me that has me a little bit concerned is the fact that Josh Waddle was the number 2. And now we're a little bit worried about that. So for me, if I was rating this team, dude, I would just give it a B. Honestly, there's some depth pieces that I'm worried about, but I think you got enough depth that we're just hoping for some big swings. And shout out to Interceptor, dude. Thanks so much for the feedback, bro. Of course, bro. Thanks so much for being here on the channel, for engaging. Thanks so much for the $2. Means the absolute world. Like I said, guys, we're growing crazy as a channel. So you got a team that I'm giving it a B. Now that you threw money my way, I'm not gonna change that. But I think we do have some pieces that we really like. Like Braylon Allen could be a league winner for you. Kenneth Walker comes back fully healthy. Jake Ferguson starting to play like a top 3 tight end rest of the season. There are some really exciting things about this team. Tony Pollard's a very consistent RB2 for you. We just need to see. I'm wanting to see more from like high end upside from Patrick Mahomes. And I think that definitely helps your overall team here. Interceptor, thanks so much for the donation. KP said, when is Benson gonna get his shine? I'm sick of Connor. Benson was drafted in the 3rd round. I assume we start to see a lot more like week 8 to 10. Let's not remember, like a few years ago, Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, Cam Akers, like when they came into the NFL and they were all 2nd round picks, it took a little bit of time for them to actually get on the field. We've seen in recent years, we've been spoiled by some of these 1st round running backs getting some run super early into the season. So I think Trey Benson, we're looking more at like week 9, week 10. Now, James Conner historically has only played about 13 games a year. So there's going to be time that James Conner is going to miss. Hopefully not, because I have plenty of shares of James Conner. But yeah, definitely Trey Benson will eventually get his shine. Michael said, my receivers are St. Brown, Deontay Johnson, Kittle's my flex right now that Debo's playing. Who would I drop for Debo, or should I? Yeah, I would drop Kittle. Deontay Kittle isn't in my flex. Yeah, I would do St. Brown, Deontay Johnson, and Debo. That's what I would do, Michael, for your team. Nick Junko, I don't know if you were just hitting a lot, spam in the chat to see if I'd respond, but yeah, do Geno Smith. Trick said, let's go, John. Javonte stock off. Tricks loves his Javonte Williams shares. Tessel Joe 51. I'm down so bad in my RB2 spot. So sorry about that. You got P Ryan or C Pat there in the week. Got to be P Ryan, right? Yeah, I'm leaning P Ryan exactly there with you. Sorry that you're down, Pat. Cordell Patterson, I mean, he is the RB2 too, but I think P Ryan, especially in a full I'm assuming that, yeah, in full PPR, you got to go with P Ryan, which isn't always the most ideal, but I would be going with full P Ryan in PPR. Anthony said, I'm going to take to some of my allegiance to see what trades I can make happen with my tight ends. Anthony, go work up some trades, bro. Go work up some trades. We got Njogo said, Jacoby Myers or Roshan Johnson this week. I will be going with Jacoby Myers. I know I talked about Roshan Johnson, but in my video today, but I will be going with Jacoby Myers. Oliver said, Braves fan, sir. Thanks for the answer. Of course, sir. Of course, sir. Thanks so much for coming into the chat and being here. Like I said, I want to be here for you guys all season. So if I can answer any start sit question at any time, just let me know. Super pumped to have all you guys here. We got Chris said, need to start one in the flex. PPR, Higgins, Keenan Allen, Wilson. Also at quarterback, would you start Daniels or Kyler? I will start. This one's an interesting one, Chris. You got an interesting one at the quarterback position. I will be starting Kyler. I do have Kyler as my QB1 this week. I have Daniels as my QB3. In regards to starting the one in the flex, I will be starting T. Higgins. So I go Higgins and Kyler for you this week. My dude, thanks so much for coming into the stream. Anthony said, definitely want to drop them in the next live, whatever that is. Cool, dude. Yeah, drop them down. We're going to be live probably on Wednesday. So we stream Wednesdays for sure, every Wednesday night. Other than that, we kind of rotate on the weekends. But you guys will see me schedule them out ahead of time if you have subscribed. Put on those post notifications if you haven't already so you guys know when I go live. ZZ Abby said, half PPR, have to sit one. Gibbs, A-Chain, Ayuk, or Debo. Ooh, this is rough. So, I mean, you're not sitting Gibbs. You're not sitting Devon. So it's really between Ayuk and Debo for me. I have Ayuk rated higher, but I feel like Debo, if he's fully healthy, gets more work and has similar upside. So I personally go Debo, but especially after Ayuk's been struggling. So I would probably sit Ayuk, but I would keep the Z Abby. I would look on Twitter, X, and see if there's any reports on Debo not having a full touch workload. That would be my only concern with Debo this week. But like I said, I haven't checked super deep, so I'm kind of going over here of just the report that I saw. The Saint said, rest of season, full PPR bench spot, Justice Hill or Zamir? Ooh. I think this is where I'm at the Saint. I think Keaton Mitchell comes back at some point for the Ravens, so I would go with Zamir, but I don't feel great about either. But I would go with Zamir. David said, do I give London for Evans? Yes, give me Mike Evans, David. I don't know if you asked that in a question and I haven't responded yet. I saw you comment that. It's always hard. I have like a bazillion comments that I need to get through, and I see them, and I'm like, I just need to sit down and do it. But then we had the stream. But thanks for asking. I would go with Mike Evans. Just True said, all right, one more. 10 PPR. Carr, Stevenson, H.N. Godwin, Collins, Ertz, Lamb. Lamb, wow, you put him last. I love that. Richardson, Charb, Dobbins, Diggs, Shaheed, Ingram. Any moves? I mean, I think the big one for you is going to be. Now, I'm staying put. I mean, the only one would be like a tight end. I know you got Ingram, Ertz. I just don't know what you're going to give up, so I'm probably just going to hold here. And then potentially, if you want to look at like can we get like a Godwin and a Diggs together to get up to like a Neighbors, to get up to a Jamar? That might be a deal that I'd look to do by trying to cheer up like two top 12 wide receiver. Well, Diggs is like a top 18 wide receiver for me the rest of the season, but getting like Diggs and Chris Godwin, who's been balling out, to kind of get an absolute huge hitter next to CeeDee Lamb. That might be a deal I might try to do. Eskimo Sisters, shout out to you. You said PPR need to flex 2 of Scary Terry, JSN, and Shakir. Cheers. Of course, bro. Of course. Eskimo Sisters. I don't guess I said bro very easily. Probably should not have rolled off the tongue that fast. Eskimo Sisters implies that you're not a girl, or not a boy. So I apologize for that over here, misgendering you. Apologies. So we got Scary Terry, JSN, and Shakir. I personally go with JSN. And then I would go with Scary Terry. I feel like I've been betting against Shakir tonight, and it's just how my rankings are, and it has me worried because we have seen Shakir be an absolute baller, but I do go with JSN and Scary Terry here for you. Anthony said, to keep at least one good tight end, who would you rather keep, Laporta or Kincaid? Rest of the season, I prefer Sam Laporta, but like we said, we've seen a lot more from Kincaid here last week and going forward. So I think both are in the similar range, but I after what we saw last year, it's hard for me to believe that Sam Laporta is just dust. But like I said, I think whichever you can get more for in a trade, that's what I would do. Anthony. So not Anthony. Yes, Anthony. Yep. QB Dow Wizard. I'm bugging for thinking Moss over JT this week, although I see a big game for Moss. I mean, I see a big game for Moss. I have him pretty high up in my rankings, but I'm personally still going Jonathan Taylor. I know it's a rough matchup versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I lean Jonathan Taylor. But the fact that you can't start Moss, let me know who else you're like. If you don't have an RB2 spot open, you don't have a flex spot open, he should be able to make it in there. Trick said Nick Chubb might be stash of the year. You know what? Someone was asking me, what should I try to trade for Nick Chubb? I'm like, you don't really want to trade for Nick Chubb right now, but if he comes back and looks Nick Chubb-like, he definitely could be a dude that we're looking at as an absolute league winner. Man, you guys are popping off here tonight. Absolutely amazing. Scar said, start Debo or DJ Moore in the flex, full PPR. Ooh, this is rough because, like we said, we don't know what that snap share is going to look like for Debo, but I'd still go with Debo over DJ Moore. Grand slam dunk. Appreciate you being here. For this week, I will be going with Justin Fields over Jordan Love, but then hypothetically next week we will be going back to the Jordan Love wagon there. Thanks, Football Girl. Said, I'm hearing Debo is playing tomorrow. Double check. Yes, I heard Debo's playing tomorrow too, so you definitely, if you have Debo, throw that bad boy into your lineups. Just True said, I'm a Texans fan and Cowgirls are rivalry, plus he needs to earn his spot back. Hello, noted. Thanks for advance. Yes, I got you. Got you. Note for advance. PRF said, I was going to go to bed and looked at my league and someone's name was unsolicited. Oh, gosh. Yes. Trying to pay with, yeah. So it's Hernandez. It's literally just Hernandez Hitman. And you just put a picture of Aaron Hernandez. You don't even need to say Aaron Hernandez. You just say Hernandez Hitman. And then I would capitalize Hernandez and then Hitman. And then post a pic of Aaron in his suit. That's what I would recommend. Half point PPR. Need one running back and 3 flex. Akers, Kenneth Walker, Spears, Odunze, JSN. Where they also AR Fields. I would go with Fields as your quarterback, and then you need 1 running back and 3 flex. I will go with Kenneth Walker, and then I'll go with JSN, Myers, and Akers if there's no Joe Mixon. And if there is Joe Mixon, I will go with Rome Odunze, JX. So repeating, Kenneth Walker, JSN, Myers, Akers, no Joe Mixon, Odunze, if there's Joe Mixon, and then I would go with AR. Like I said, guys, and LOL. Yeah, we're having some fun here tonight. We're having some major fun here tonight. It's been absolutely a killer stream. But like I said, guys, if you guys have any final start sit questions, let me know, because I need to be going to bed here soon because we're waking up at super early tomorrow. So if you guys, I don't know if anyone just subscribed at all, but if you did, thank you so much. But yeah, we will, we're probably going to be ending the stream here in the next 2 minutes. So if you have any final questions, throw those bad boys in the chat. If not, no worries. We will definitely see you guys. Like I said, if you guys have questions that I don't answer tonight that you would like me to dive in a little bit more tomorrow, be more than happy to kind of get to those. But I answer all my comments in all my videos, so I'm probably going to be doing that tonight as we roll down for bed. You said, what threshold of wide receiver do you see Laporta getting me? That's a great question. Anthony coming in, asking what Laporta would nag. I think it depends. I'm just assuming it's a straight PPR format. No, nothing crazy. I mean, he probably nets you someone like a DJ Moore, a Zay Flowers, Jaden Reed type, which is going to be more than Dalton Kincaid. Like we said, it's the tight ends with them not performing right now. It's hard for them to actually be returning you any type of value. But that's kind of like when we're looking at rest of season rankings where those guys are starting to fit in. So, but guys, this has been absolutely incredible. So any final start sit questions to come in? Oh my goodness, you guys are crazy. We just got two more people subscribe. So like I said, it makes you wait about a minute before you put a question. So like I said, appreciate you guys so much. This chat has been absolutely on fire. So this is me. Back to you guys. Thank you guys so much. It's been crazy tonight. Jack said, quarterback to trade for. My quarterback right now is Baker. Yeah, if you got Baker, I think it's going to be hard to Jack, I'm kind of forgetting your team right now, honestly, my dude. But if you do have Baker, can we get into a Justin Fields? Can we get into a Jordan Love? Even get up to a Joe Burrow type if I add a piece on. Those would be guys I was trying to get to. Anthony said, flex between Walker, Johnston, and Roschon. I will be starting Ken Walker. I don't care if he's on a snap count or not. I trust that more than I do Quentin Johnston and or even Roschon. So, Just True said, is there or will there be a Discord set up for the channel? Eventually, Just True. I know I have some friends that so this is the issue, just so you're aware, Just True, and I don't want to bore you with business details, but honestly, truthfully, I've had some friends that I don't like the ethical practice of they open up a Discord, they make it free, and then within 6 months to a year, they start charging everybody for said Discord. So I don't want to be like that at all. So I'm just trying to figure out, I'm trying to do this the right way. And so right now I'm just trying to build the best community that I can over on YouTube. And then we'll definitely figure out kind of the steps there, especially if people want more community outside of the YouTube ranks. And so that's kind of where everything's going for us, but super pumped to see where things go. Casey said, have a great night. Of course, Casey. Thanks so much. Soul Chicey said, it's game day. Rise ATL. Let's go. Beat the Saints. Of course. Cash, appreciate you being here. You said start Derrick Henry, James Conner, or Jonathan Taylor. Cash, I can't believe you have to decide between these three guys. You're absolutely incredible. that you have a team that's this loaded right here. But I personally would go with Jonathan Taylor over James Conner and Derrick Henry. Thanks so much. Anthony's a round of applause for you, bro. Great stream. You'll definitely see me around more. Of course, Anthony. Appreciate you being here, dude. Thanks so much for the super chat. Thanks so much for tuning in and being here on the channel and being active for the last 2 hours. Been absolutely incredible. But that seems to be kind of caught up on all of the chats and the subscribers. So like I say, guys, if you haven't already, hit that like button on your way out. If you haven't checked out my stash video that I put out earlier, make sure you go check out that stash video. Definitely want you guys here in the community that we're building on YouTube. I know we want definitely more. And so I'm hearing you guys. I want you to know there's stuff happening in the background that we're working on. And we're excited for the future, but we're also trying to be here in the present now to help you win a fantasy football championship and help you win week 4. So if I can do that in any way post this stream, you let me know. Shout out to Just True. Awesome. Look forward to the community growth for you. All the good vibes. All good vibes for all y'all tonight and tomorrow as you guys watch your teams demolish your opponents in fantasy football going forward. Like I said, if you need me to answer a start sit question coming into the rest of the week, let me know. But for now, I'm going to go to bed because I do have to wake up in literally like 6.5 hours. So I appreciate you guys all so much. Have a great night, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.